Want this? Fused here. High time I crumb the fuck up.
Wake the fuck up, samurai. Just keep running.
Wasn't sure we'd worm out of that alive.
Gonna take you there myself. Fly you to the moon.
You look like a cut of fuckable meat. Are you?
You heard it up top. We are jacking in once again and going to that not so distant future of a little cyberpunk dystopia. That's right, because we are talking cyberpunk once again. And this time, not only covering the video game, but of course, the Netflix series. Here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, I don't know, Cyber Colin.
This is Mikey Silverhand.
Oh, sure.
And this is Edgerunner Jacob.
Little cyber psycho Jacob.
The edgelord.
Yeah, I'm bordering on the edge of cyber psychosis right now.
He's had too many upgrades.
Yeah. He's on the edge. For those watching the YouTube, I'm wearing very cool sunglasses, but I can't see anything.
Very cool.
So now I'm going to put on my regular glasses. It was just for the intro bit, but you know.
That's right, baby.
I haven't gotten the Mikoshi upgrades yet, so I just got, full bore organic eyes, and they're,
Are you part of the what's that? The Maelstrom?
No, I wouldn't be part of the Maelstrom, but we will
They're
be
pretty
talking
cool.
a lot of cyber, and we're glad that all the listeners are a part of that. So,
We will be.
we are back.
We're back. Normies, we just said, we've done it before. Go back and check it out. We've done a Cyberpunk episode, which was kind of Jacob being like, I play this game. I want to talk about this other stuff. And we talked about like Johnny Mnemonic. We talked about
the
Blade
genre
Runner, The Matrix.
as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about, the overarching thing. Today we're going to be focusing a lot more on the CD Projekt Red developed world of the video game / the Studio
Cross-media
Trigger
property, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, now kind of a big cross-media property. But, Jacob, I got to say, when we did that past episode and had conversations about, like, would you get the upgrade? And now, like, would you be a Maelstrom or whatever? I had kind of a basic view of sort of not having played the game before, or of course the show wasn't out yet, of just the Johnny Mnemonic of being like, oh, Jacob's talking about like the 90s cyberpunk of like, would I put like a microchip behind my ear? But like now what we're facing of this whole idea of after playing the game and after watching this show of like, would you mod out like, would you like remove the idea of what your humanity is? Basically, like deconstruct your body.
Well, it gets into the transhumanism, right? Where you're replacing your biological parts with mechanical parts or whatever. So transhumanism, it's a big theme in cyberpunk, right?
Yeah, and the genre as a whole. I mean, and we talked a little bit on the last episode, Ghost in the Shell, like that term, the Ghost in the Machine. Literally, at what point can you ship of Theseus yourself into a robot before you're not a human anymore? Right? Where do you draw the line? Yeah, who knows? So, fascinating subject. But Jacob, I have to say, you were right. We should have played it. We should have played the game, but it took some convincing. And for me, that convincing was actually the show itself. So I don't know if we want to jump straight into there, jack into the Netflix machine, put on your brain dance wreath, and we'll be talking and spoiling. So careful. Cyberpunk Edgerunners up next on Normies Like Us. Whenever you're ready.
We're back. You're on Normies Like Us. Talking Cyberpunk. We're jacking on. And jacking on.
Just jacking with my chooms. Just
Jacking
jacking
in
in
and
with my
jacking off.
chooms.
Like we said, we're going to be talking about all of it, but give us some little history about this. Because again, Jacob, we've done like a Witcher episode on here before, so we know CD Projekt
Red.
We know what this whole world is.
They also have a Netflix series for that too. So there you go. CD Projekt Red Netflix. They love it.
Well, of course, the Cyberpunk IP existed before CD Projekt Red took it over for Cyberpunk 2077, which, so normies, go back and listen. I think it was January 2021 was when we did the episode. The game came out December 2020, Christmas time. I got it like immediately and was just hooked on it for like all of, I had a couple of days off work in December, was just playing that nonstop.
All the reviews were out already. It was a disaster.
It was a
Some
controversial.
people like you were like, I'll play it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the consensus was it was extremely bad launch. It was very buggy. It wasn't ready to be released. That's the main thing. But there was a good game underneath that I think a lot of people saw the potential for and was like, okay, this can be good. But yeah, terrible launch, tons of bugs, crashes. They released it for PS4 and they had to take it off the PlayStation
Sony
Store.
removed it, yeah, because it was so buggy.
Because it was unplayable, and I think it's still unplayable on last gen consoles to this day. But if you have PS5, PC, it does work a lot better now. But yeah, so I was playing that. 2 years kind of go by, almost 2 years, and this new anime comes out.
Did you beat it in that time? Did you run it all the way through?
I did not beat the entire campaign. I do this a lot with games where I'll play like 80 to 100 hours in a game and then just lose interest right when I'm getting to like the end of the game. I did it with
chapter 2, 80 hours.
Yeah,
right.
Oh my God, there's so much left to do.
With these open world games, there really is like so much, and I'm kind of a completionist, so I'm doing all this side content, and I just lose interest in the main storyline. So I dropped it at the end of like January 2021. Didn't touch it for like almost 2 years, right?
And you were telling us to play it, and I was one of the people who's like, I saw the reviews and stuff, and I was off like on it completely. I was like, maybe if it gets better, and I kind of forgot about it totally. Colin, you didn't play it either up through that span either, right?
No, and it's still a full price game at this point. I at this point didn't have a PlayStation 5. I was still not even playing on a PlayStation 4 Pro. Like I was playing on an old school one. And we should say when Jacob is quitting, people are still posting videos online. They're like, yo, I found a hack. Like when you get in a car, everybody turns and melts. You're just like what?
T-posing
like
all
it was
around.
so broken.
Right.
Yeah, it was just like a mess.
And it was very broken, and even to this day, there's definitely still issues with it.
Right, but it's a lot more stable now. But I think the real, savior of the franchise or the game itself, because this was a disastrous launch and it ruined CD Projekt Red's reputation with the fan base. And then along comes a Netflix tie-in anime, upon which, after releasing, the player base has spiked. There's never been more people in Night City enjoying this game, and it really gave it a second life. So
yeah,
couple
it
small
renewed interest.
patches. Some stuff is coming out beforehand, but tied in a big DLC drop with this show.
And after the initial launch, the reaction was so negative that immediately they put out these statements like, all right, we're going to try to fix this. We're putting out our plan for the next couple of years of like major patches and stuff.
Yeah.
But you got to keep in mind, like CD Projekt Red was like, before this game came out, was one of the few game studios that like was universally loved because Witcher 3, everybody loved that game. They had just like a really good reputation among, like EA, Activision, all these companies that people hate.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny how that happened. But we get, Studio Trigger, right?
So they're the studio behind Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill are some of their biggest projects. They had a couple. I think they did Twins on Star Wars Visions. So they've been kind of dipping their toe and expanding. Working with Western companies and stuff. But Netflix, I guess, reaches out to Trigger. They have the IP and they want to make this Edgerunners anime. But I think that's really smart, first of all, because like look at their Castlevania success and stuff. But now let's just get a top tier company, from Japan and give them a shot to kind of break out. And the show really has broken out. So
yeah, and well, Netflix kind of has been killing it in the animation and the anime world, right?
And video game adaptations. Really?
Right. They had the Arcane. That was very popular and well received. That's based on League of Legends, Castlevania. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a good move. And Mike, you want to talk about a little bit with your experience with this show?
Well, Mike, it brings us to our question because you've been enjoying this so much. Okay.
Yes.
What do you want to do? What's your point of view? And if there's a party soon, do you want to go?
Of course,
those are my questions
I do.
for you.
Yes to all. I really, really want to stay at your house. So basically, I was out on the Cyberpunk, game because I thought it was buggy. But then along comes the anime, and it's like kind of quietly released. Like it had some trailers and people were into it, but I was like, it's a spin-off anime for a game I don't play. I don't know. But all my friends
And you
started
like
telling me.
Gurren Lagann. Have you seen Kill La Kill?
Yeah, I've seen Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill,
Okay.
and you know those are the main stuff from Trigger that I've seen. But so my friends that are more anime heads, you know, they're going to be critical of this Corpo, you know, this Corpo project, right? So they're all telling me that the show's incredible, and I'm like, you really think so? And like, dude, you have to. So then
Right.
the night before my birthday, like going into midnight, I just started the first episode, and then for the next like 3-4 hours, I binged the entire thing, and like finished the
Wow.
last episode right at midnight on my birthday, and I
Oh
was
my
like,
god.
I was
Well,
blown away. We will get into details and spoilers, but just for me,
Yeah.
I was blown away. I was brought
Wow.
to tears, and it changed my perspective on life. I love that show,
Oh,
and I think it's
no.
the best
Jeez.
thing Trigger has ever made. That's it
It's
for
a
me.
very lonely show, and I hope
Cyberpunk. It's a very lonely
you,
world, right?
You weren't relating to it too much, I guess.
I just
is
went
my
to emo
hope. At midnight
Coachella,
on your
so-
birthday. Okay.
I literally
that
went to
emo
the biggest
cyber life.
festival of
That's right.
sad people who feel lonely.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
a
look, not
rocker.
to take credit for this all, but I did tell, friend of the show, ex Kaida, big anime fan, right? I
Mhm.
told him to watch this, and maybe he was already going to, but I said, hey, check out this show on Netflix. I think you would like it. He watches it. He's like, hell yeah. He probably told you about it, and
Mhm.
here we are,
And
Hell
this,
yeah.
Jacob, this was just on your radar of you like Cyberpunk stuff, you played the game, you were gonna watch this kind of no matter what.
Yeah, well, I saw the trailer and stuff, and it looked good. I wasn't like super in, like I didn't know how good it was gonna be, because like I watched like there's like this Pacific Rim anime sequel kind of.
Yes, on
Oh, yeah.
Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, and I watched that, and it was like fine, but it wasn't like world changing or anything. So I was like, well, I'll just give this a chance. But I actually did not even finish the season until this weekend, like this last couple nights.
I
So
am
That's
so
wild.
upset. Colin,
I
did you-
just
go ahead,
yeah.
Jacob. Sorry, finish your.
Well, I was into it and I liked it. I have nothing against it, but I just kind of fell off. I had like 3 episodes left.
So we're
And-
just spending weeks talking about and spoiling the ending for you because we just thought you had watched it. And
Well,
we're
I
just
already knew what was
discussing
gonna
in
happen,
detail.
basically.
Oh man, okay.
Oh,
But
you've
there's
met
a
this
ton
guy,
to
Adam
spoil.
Smasher, before?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I
I
think
knew
we're
who
gonna
Adam
get him
Smasher
this
was.
time.
I hardly know.
I think we're gonna
yeah.
kill him.
So
But
you finished it though. So what did you
I
think
did finish it.
after seeing the ending? Now, even if you knew the details, what did you think after you wrapped it
I mean,
up?
I kind of saw where it was going with
Mhm.
David losing his sort of grip on reality with the cyber psychosis and everything. No, I mean, overall, I did like the show. Like, I have nothing against it. I thought it was good. Maybe I'm not as high on it as Mike is.
Yeah.
It wasn't, show of the year or like world changing for me, but I did think it was a good show. Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, it's my favorite show of the year. I like it more than Hot D, but maybe that's just a personal thing. Colin, though, how do you feel about this episode before we get into
I want to
spoilers?
hear that, and I want to hear the defenses of that. I think it was just one of those things for me where it was like, you just see on those lists online, like coming to Netflix next month, and you read like, oh, a Cyberpunk show, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And see anime, and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of hit or miss on animes. Let's see if I like this or whatever. You guys seem to like it so much. And the sale coexisting with it of this Netflix thing's coming out, and like, we're also going to give you this game for basically $10 compared to like, when it came out of like 80 or whatever. We want you to like these things so much. And I just truly felt that weight of like, all right, pop culture, you're pushing me in the direction of, I guess, enjoying Cyberpunk. And having watched it, I'm excited to, I mean, I'm not going to even say a complex show. It does the hero's journey, obviously, but in
Mhm.
very unexpected ways. It's got cliffhanger endings. It's brutal. It's maximalist. It has like a ton of nudity. It's very adult. I mean,
Very violent.
I wouldn't know what a negative out of that would be for you, Jacob.
It's not so much a negative. And I will say, like, even not finishing the season until
Yeah.
recently. Well, first of all, I had like 31 horror movies to watch last month. I don't know if you're aware of that. So that kind of took a lot of time. But
True.
So
I'll allow it.
turning Cyberpunk off to turn on the 5th Hellraiser sequel. What punishments
Yeah.
you must have been going
Yes,
through.
all
yes.
for this podcast, all for you, Normie.
Such sights that we've seen. Yeah.
But what it did do was,
Yeah.
get me rejuvenated into the cyberpunk world and want
Yes.
to pick up the game again. So it definitely got me
Yes.
back into that like headspace of like, hell yeah, cyberpunk. I just wasn't like, the story's good. I
Yeah.
think I prefer the story of the game to the story of the show, and maybe you guys will disagree. But
They're kind of
Interesting.
tragedies. I mean, that's
yeah,
that's
they're
the whole thing,
similar.
but
That's kind of the archetype of the cyberpunk genre, is like people living on the edge, barely hanging on, like time is fleeting. It's a
this
lot of
will
that.
be their story, and you'll get the
Yeah.
full capture. But Mike,
Yeah.
hit us with some defense here, and kind of give us the gamut of what is this anime, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna, as we go into this, listeners, there will be spoilers and stuff. We don't know when they're gonna pop up as we kind of just free flow. But I mean, the anime, it's basically set in Night City, the same city as the game and the Mike Pondsmith tabletop game, which the video game is based on. So it's set in that same universe, and it follows David Martinez. He's like a teenager. He's going to a fancy school. They don't have a ton of money. His mom's working extra jobs. Tragically, his mom dies in an accident, and he doesn't have money to cover rent and stuff. He finds a piece of military technology, chrome, about body modification. And at first he's trying to sell it, but then he's getting bullied at school and decides, you know what, screw it. I'm going to be an edgelord. And he chromes himself up. He gets tied up with a gang that calls themselves the Edgerunners, and they start working together, doing jobs and trying to make those eddies. They become fast chooms, as they say in Night City. And the
With
adventures
him,
thereof.
he kind of he has a higher tolerance for chrome than most people. He kind of finds out, and he can handle this Sandevistan, which is like would make anyone go crazy with like 10 uses or something. But for him, he can handle it.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a military grade implant. Like nobody should be able to handle it.
No.
So he ends up pulling his weight and trying to level up, I guess, in the world of crime in Night City. And we learn that it's a web of, backstabbing, betrayal, different gang networks and all this.
Right.
Well,
Corpos,
okay,
gangs.
Yeah.
okay, yes, but that is the one thing. There are anime tropes, I should say, that come into this that I don't love that much. That we did just hit one of them of, Jacob. I'm going to talk about Mike for a second, and then you say, actually, Mike betrayed the gang. Mike,
yeah.
Mike's my boy. When he joined up with us, I knew we was big time because Mike, he's the one who always brings that heat,
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
he
that does happen, unfortunately. Sorry I betrayed you guys.
Mike, you know what? I never should have trusted that guy, and I never will, and I'll never trust him again. That back and forth of like, it is very the anime heightened, where it's like, oh yeah,
it is very heightened.
Yeah.
I will say this. I guess my biggest negative about the show is I don't like the character of David Martinez that much.
Huh, interesting. Okay.
Because I just felt like, he's got a sympathetic backstory, but
sure.
he's just kind of an idiot. And people keep telling him, like, you're going too far. Like, stop using this
down.
everywhere. You're going to kill yourself, basically.
I
He
am
just
a red
rejects them
flag.
Just
I am
turn
your
away,
future.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
I hear you, because there's a lot of warning signs. Everybody around him is telling him, because there's a time jump, at one point in the anime where he becomes kind of leader of the gang, and his body's like super chromed out, like every part of him. It's not just the one implant. So he's been adding chrome, and like Jacob said, cyberpsychosis is a thing. And even the Ripper doc, all of his friends, his girlfriend Lucy,
everyone's
she's
telling
like,
him.
yo,
Yeah.
Rebecca, everybody's telling him not to.
He just
and he
ignores
just
them all.
I
and
just want you
yeah.
to live. You are killing yourself.
Yeah.
No. I got to get stronger.
Which I think the whole cyberpsychosis angle is very interesting, and the game kind of goes into it a little bit, not as
This
much
does
as
it
the
better
show.
than the game, I think, kind of portraying
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
so-
yeah, and
go
it's
ahead.
because the main character is kind of getting. I think in the game it was going to be a bigger part. Like there was going to be a game mechanic of you could get cyberpsychosis, but I think they ended up taking that out because they just had too much stuff going on. They couldn't.
Yeah, they had too
couldn't
many
fit it
bugs
in.
to kill,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it ended
Yeah.
up just being a side thing where you meet all these different cyber psychos and you have to put them down, basically.
So I guess bluntly then, to kind of lay it out, he's in the gang. We have a bunch of characters, and the mentor character goes through cyberpsychosis and ends up killing his own partner, like in a gig gone wrong. So David sees somebody who, to him, is like stronger than anybody else and has really high tolerance for chrome, and then he slowly loses it, and people are telling him, "Hey, man,
Right.
don't do that."
He just ignores all the warning signs at every turn.
Now,
so, right. What does that
Jacob.
mean then? What does it represent?
and
Right.
Jacob, if you were part of our gang and Mike was our leader and he died, would you call dibs on the really fancy metal inside of him to
Hell
go
yeah.
inside you? Oh
Mhm.
boy.
Give me
I-
that chrome.
But yeah, and that's cool too. He's like carrying on the legacy, but it's like, what is the motivation then, right? And Jacob
I
was
got my
saying,
eyes on someone else.
right. In the world of cyberpunk, though, right? Like the fiction, the genre itself, it is a big theme of like you can't ever win. Like you're
Yeah.
always fucked, right? Because there's always a greater power, whether it's the corpos or whatever. Like no matter what, unless you're the top, you're gonna get fucked one way or another. And that's the genre. And even in the game,
That's
I'm not gonna
100%.
spoil much from the game, but a lot of the characters you meet in the game, everything that I encountered in the game, it's tragic fates, and we'll get into the game later. But that's a theme, and that's what we
the
see in the anime.
overarching theme.
The
and I think it's a
wheel
tragedy.
crushes.
It is a tragedy. The
and that's an
anime
extension
itself. Yeah.
of real life, where it's like this is kind of taken to an extreme, where it's like, you know, extreme capitalism, extreme technology, like everything is heightened, but it's still people just trying to get by, and capitalism just crushing them daily, right?
But that's
And
why
that's
I like
kind of the world
show.
we live in now. Yeah,
Yeah, because I feel like in Los Angeles, like we live in Night City, we live in
Yeah.
Cyberpunk.
Well,
You know,
we are
Exactly.
days away from an ambulance guy coming up, scanning your arm, and being like, "You don't have coverage, sorry."
Right.
And
Right.
you're
That's
driving
not
away.
that's not an impossibility of our near
No.
future, right?
Unfortunately, not.
no, and that's like the whole impetus of David's journey is they get in an accidental car crash because of some gang violence, and the
Yeah.
paramedics are literally like, "Oh, you don't have the right insurance plan, leave her." You know,
Right.
and the
Sorry.
doctors
And
can't.
his
They don't have the
mom-
money to treat her. She could be
Yeah.
saved, but they don't
And
have
his
the
mom
money.
worked for trauma team, right? She was literally like a paramedic. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
like, she worked for that company, and they still won't.
And
treat
it's
her.
not insured. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
so those kind of themes, and that's what the cyberpunk genre. I mean, back in the '80s, it's like looking at Reagan economics and the Cold War and shit like that, and it's like kind of another depressing, like kind of sense of being in America, I guess, for some people. So it's coming. It was born out of that, but now in 2022, it feels like we're closer to it in some ways
Yeah.
than ever.
Like, people thought the '80s were bad. 2020s
man,
worse.
Get
we're
ready.
close to dystopia. Go vote. Anyway,
Close. We're there, baby.
but that's why I like the show, because it's real and it doesn't pull any punches. Because like,
Sure.
you ever had, you know, people into some shit that you knew wasn't right for them, and even though you tell them don't do it, they do it, right?
Yeah.
Something compels them to continue, and I find that psychology fascinating, and it's tragic and sad, especially when it's, you know, people, you know, in your life or whatever. But
Right.
I've experienced that, and I'm just fascinated with a world which creates that as the normal default state for many people, like the cyberpunk universe now. You know, like what a
Right.
world, and it's just a weird thing to look at, and it's the anime got me into like, all right, now I want to play the game, because it's more the environment is a character unto itself, and it's just
Oh, yeah.
comes to life.
If you
in the
look at,
anime, the good and bad of it.
Oh yeah, one of the things I like most about the show is
Mhm.
just the interconnectivity with the game, where it's like every vehicle, every weapon you see, it's like, oh, I know that from the game. That's this gun or that's this car. You know, I've seen those. Everything is
Yeah.
named, like the sound effects, the music, like it's all taken
Jacob,
from the world of the game.
The
the
UI.
Pavlovian sound effect of the phone call coming
Yeah.
through on the anime while I'm playing the game, watching the anime, and I'm looking up to be like,
Uh-huh.
what screen did that happen on, is kind of sick and dystopian too.
Yeah,
Right.
and you know, so we'll get to the game like big talk, but yeah, it was cool
Yeah.
for me having never played it, not 1 minute,
Yeah.
just seen a trailer, watching the anime, and then getting to the game and being like, oh, that's, you know, Maine's car, oh, that's, you know, Lucy's
Right.
gun, oh, that's Rebecca, you know, whatever. So that's really cool, because it is super connected, and I spent a lot of time kind of just going to the anime locations inside
Sure,
the
that's what's
game.
interesting. Yeah,
Find Kiwi to kill her.
Yes.
Well, that's what's interesting in the show. You know, they go to the afterlife. They go
Yes.
to these places that you go to also in
He
the game.
lives in
Turbo
the
bar they
Grand,
hang out.
maybe.
He lives
Yeah.
in Mega
He
Building.
lives in a mega building.
8,
Yeah.
I believe.
But
Because his
in-
apartment in the beginning is like exactly like V's
in the
apartment.
finale, I think he lives in the Grand, though. I think he has your exact apartment.
Oh, that apartment is a hidden ending apartment. The one him and Lucy live in. There's a secret ending, and I got it. But we'll get
Interesting.
there. But
Well, I think it's interesting to compare. So, Mike, like you said,
Yeah.
you never played the game, but you watched the anime and then came into the game from that. So your perspective is you saw this show first and then you played the game, whereas I played the game first, then I watched the show, then I played the game again. Colin, you also You basically
Kind of
did them both at the same
simultaneous.
time.
Playing
yeah,
and watching
essentially,
together. Yeah.
Walking through while hearing the music and kind of chasing to try and find that incredible song every time it would play on the radio and being like, where is
Oh.
this coming from?
I got an anecdote for you guys when we get to
Oh,
the
yeah.
game section. Yeah.
I know about that. But literally all the music in this show is taken straight from the radio channels in the game,
Yes.
which is wild. But
That's a good point to bring up because, like, obviously that one song, "I Want to Stay at Your House," is like really popular, like on
Yeah.
memes and stuff.
I've been
you know.
singing it for
Of
in my
course.
head for weeks. Yes.
If it
Yeah.
is not
How
the
can you not?
single number one most listened song on my Spotify Wrapped this year, I will be shocked. I've been listening to it nonstop. But anyway,
Yeah.
the fact
Yeah.
that like they pulled a game or music from the game that was already in there, and then they're able to like apply like a new context to it, like apply this deep meaning and this emotional, with the story of the anime put on top of it, but they're starting with the game template. It's just wild how creative they were able to be with the constraints, because I think Trigger can get a little over ambitious, but this
Sure.
they had to be reined in, and
Yeah, they were
because it's like
constrained by the world.
yeah,
And it really works the way they use the music in the show. And, I don't want to be too negative. So I'll say like the positives about the show, what I really like about it is that relationship between David and Lucy and the gang. Like that
Mhm.
whole arc, that was what made the show good for me. Right.
That's interesting, Jacob. I think you kind of need to accept this point, though, which is that I want to have sex with Lucy, and that's why I really enjoy it.
you really want to stay at her
yeah.
house.
Yeah, as a lonely boy, yes, the relationships, I agree with you, are outstandingly wonderful and complex characters who are at the ends of each episodes, anytime leaning towards tropes of, oh, she is the femme fatale, this was all a trick. No, rug pull, actually, that's a trick too. Here's like an even more
Right.
complex.
So like you said, it's the hero's journey. David, our protagonist, is kind of the newbie into this world. He's dropped
Yeah.
into this strange world, meets this
Of edge
I
running.
think probably a little bit older than him, Lucy, right?
Yeah.
She's experienced. She's an
I have a
experienced
tragic
Edgerunner.
backstory. You're not going to get it for a long time, but when you
Right.
do,
And he's just like immediately in love with her. She's
Yeah.
kind of conning him at the beginning, right? Getting into a little spoiler talk, but she's
yeah.
tricking him only to be revealed later that she was conning him, but then she ends up falling for him over the course of the show anyway, right?
because she's the
Right.
saddest human being who's ever existed.
Man,
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
She just wants to
twist.
go to the moon. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just wants you to be happy. Some strange boy that she meets who, if my mom died and I'm walking around a dystopia and I have nowhere to live, no job, no anything, and a woman is like, I will take care of you through a con, I'd be like, this is incredible.
Totally.
Right.
This is all I've ever wanted. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wants to go to the moon, but not alone, Anyway, but yeah, so David has that piece of technology that his mom was actually going to sell to her boss. Now that's Maine.
Twist.
So like that was going to be his, and then they're like, oh, should we just kill him and take it out of him? And then he's like, oh, that was my mom
The
who's going to
kid's
sell it
good.
to you. And then like, oh shit, okay, we'll take care of
Right.
him.
So he kind of finds out his mom was sort of doing this side business where she would sell, illegal parts.
She
to
would show up
gangs.
Keeping him in school.
Yeah. She would go to like a cyber psycho event maybe, and during the recovery of the dead body, she would steal some of the chrome and then
Right.
sell it in the black market, for some extra money.
And like you said, Colin, the big thing is that she's trying to pay for him to put him into this Corpo Arasaka school so he can become a good member of society and everything. He's kind of rejecting that whole life, and he's like, "Nah, mom, I want to live on the edge."
Well, the students
And-
reject him too, though. They're like, "Oh, you're poor, you're stupid, you don't belong here. He can't afford the headset and stuff,
Yeah.
so he has to get a bootleg one."
Yeah.
Like they don't
Yeah,
want
we-
him there.
No.
Right.
And it's the equivalent of, the old prejudice of like, you're playing basketball, you can't afford the basketball shoes the rest of the team has. You've got, dirty fucking old sneakers. And it's like, you're a piece of shit. It's great. It's very relatable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then in the cyberpunk world, though, not only are they richer than you, but they also have the sickest kung fu upgrades that you can't afford.
Yeah,
and just
they
beat
can
the shit out of
beat
you,
your
you know?
ass,
So it's
yeah.
Yeah, it's like pay to win bullying.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
can't even.
the
know,
whole
fight
society is
people.
pay to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck yeah, it is. Later when they try to jump that kid's dad and it's revealed that he is a badass, and it's like,
Right.
of course, he's got money. You would
Right.
not be a badass.
You can literally make yourself stronger, or
Yeah.
like give you hidden guns in your arms that
learn
people don't know about.
anything. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
have the money, if you have the eddies.
But again, let me just ask the question here again.
Yeah.
Because again, last time we talked about this, I'm thinking about like Like this also has like a nano whip, and it's like, oh, okay. But when we watch
Yeah.
Johnny Mnemonic and a girl has a nano whip, it's like she's pulling her fingernail off. It's like a joke or whatever. When David gets the Sandevistan installed, he is having his spinal cord removed and what's left fused with the rest of his body through a violent surgery.
Yeah.
How many upgrades would you guys really realistically get?
Well, that's
Right
the thing is
now-
that most people's bodies would reject so much, non-biological parts, but for some reason he can kind of withstand it and withstand the cyberpsychosis.
Especially the strength one. But that, the thing that's wild is a lot of the people who are implanted, they have to take immunosuppressors and stuff just to
Right.
maintain that. So the idea of, like Jacob said, it's a pay to win bullies, but it's a pay to win society, right?
Yeah.
And we're fast approaching, right? And
That's
so,
all like hyper capitalism is, right?
Subscribe
Yeah.
to
Pay to win
live.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it creates a class of citizens who are like, I'm willing to put metal in my body in order to give myself the edge on this very short life to just make more money to hopefully ascend the ladder. And it's like, I will be taking medicine just so I don't die from this chrome. But that's the mindset. That's like what's fascinating is what world creates this, and
And
Yeah,
it might
and then it's
drive
sad.
me crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of
It's
know
the
it.
classic story of, he gets to a point where like they're doing pretty good, they're successful, they're doing jobs and everything,
money, yeah.
but they don't know when to stop. And that's always kind of the thing is like you got to know when to quit the game or walk away, right? Before you
Maybe
go
that's-
over the edge.
Capitalism on the same thing. Like, when is enough money? Companies, when is enough?
You
and they
win.
never say no, and neither do the individuals in
Yeah.
the society. You don't stop, as Maine said. You
Right.
keep running, right?
Well, if you want to get
sad.
into, the problems with capitalism is that companies, corpos, they always have to be growing. You can't be stagnant and just be like, all right, we're doing pretty good. If we just stay at this level of
We can
success,
pay everyone, give them insurance. We're
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
the investors will reject that, the board or whatever. So they
Yep.
always have to be growing. It always has to be exponential growth. And that's kind of the problem with it all.
And that's kind of what
Jesus.
David is embodying. It has to be
Yeah,
exponential
right.
growth. He will not stop. It's like being born of this thing. You are a part of it, like the machine of Night
You
City.
can't escape it. Yeah.
Right, and that's the tragedy of the show. You can't escape it. Even Lucy, spoilers, David doesn't make it out and she escapes it, but did she really? She's so sad on the moon. Like, you
Oh,
didn't
no.
escape anything,
Yeah.
Night
And
City
he
got you.
sacrifices himself
Yeah.
to save her.
But she
Yeah.
wanted him to live.
And everyone
That
else.
wasn't what she wanted. You know what I mean?
No.
Right.
So it's
Right.
really, really sad. It's a sad show, and I guess because we live in a society, I'm like, damn, they pulled no punches. Because normally a trigger show, like Gurren Lagann, believe in me who believes in you, or kill a kill, right? Power of friendship will overcome this stuff, but not in Night City. Sometimes you just
Get
get
crushed.
fucked. Right.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Unceremoniously, like a
You
bug.
just
Right.
Get
Yeah.
fucking ended, even if you're a lolly.
Even the way
Oh,
certain
man.
certain gang
Triple
members
replay.
are, the way certain gang members are killed in the show, it's just like so sudden. Like
Pillar. Rebecca's
yeah.
brother, the first
Or-
one of the crew.
yeah, or even Rebecca.
Yeah.
When she's unceremoniously killed by Atom Smasher right at the end, and it's just like, damn, she was like
Crushed.
a badass. And
She's just having
yeah.
a chat with Lucy. Hey, I'm glad you're okay for David's sake. All right. And then
we're having a fucking moment here.
Yeah,
Smash.
Yeah.
Adam smashed. So yeah, it's and that's the Corpo
Wow.
right there. Cause like Maine is working for Faraday. Faraday's working for the Corpos. Like, everybody's someone else's dog. Even the person that's 2 notches up the ladder to you, unless you're the CEO of
Basically-
Arasaka, there's somebody ahead of you, right?
Yeah, and you can't trust anybody because you never know when someone's just gonna sell you out and try to improve their world somehow by stepping over you, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
kind
the
of
anime
theme
show.
Kiwi.
of- Yeah,
Right.
right.
Never
But,
should have trusted you.
Well, Kiwi.
Yeah, but like
told
Kiwi
Lucy
betrays
that.
the gang, Faraday betrays Kiwi, the Corp betrays Faraday.
Faraday.
It was just
Yeah.
betrayal after betrayal. Like you can't
Yeah.
trust
Even
anybody.
the Kiwi finale is a great anime trope of like, haha, I did betray you, but I always loved you. And like,
I'm sorry, I
like,
betrayed
it's
you.
Like, this is great. It's we got to get this redemption in here. Squeeze it in.
But
baby.
also, I think
Yeah.
to compare the story of the game, there's a lot of
Yeah.
similarities there with how the inciting incident of the game, which we can get into as well. But like you're also betrayed by your fixer in the game,
Yes.
right? And that's how the whole thing starts.
Well, and a beloved companion dies before your eyes.
Right.
Right.
One of your
Yeah.
main chooms. Main. You get what I did there? But yeah, so I think that's, I mean, there are probably just a little bit more to talk about here before we jump to the game, but that's pretty much the broad strokes. I mean, the animation's incredible. I just want to say, the reason I think it's so good, I got into Cyberpunk through anime. Like, the first Cyberpunk things I ever saw were Akira and Ghost in the Shell. I didn't even know what the Cyberpunk genre was. I just thought it was a crazy Japanese anime thing. And then I found out about Blade Runner. And this is throwing back to those 90s, like where it was graphic, there was nudity, violence, adult themes, and like interesting concepts. And I don't like how anime has become just so tropey and sterile. And I like that this is like a modern, flashy Trigger style throwback to that 90s, like edgy, cool adult anime. And we haven't had that in a long time.
Totally.
So I appreciate that.
I love Ghost in the Shell. I love Akira, and I don't want to be too down on the show because I did,
the best.
She's great, yeah.
Toko Kusanagi.
She's my favorite Asian actress.
Yep.
But this show, I don't want to be too down on it because I did like it, and I think it's a great show. I just I'm maybe not as high on it as you are because it's like your show of the year and you loved it so much. I also think it's very good, but it's just not quite at that level for me. But totally understand it.
Yeah, I'm a big sad boy, and I think I got, I connected, I think, with some of the themes of like, sometimes if something's not good for you, just don't do it, even if it's hard not to.
Stop.
Just stop. Just stop stop or you'll die, right? So
that's what's so tragic about it is that he's not going to stop, even though he should.
Nope.
Exactly.
So you're just kind of watching this tragedy, and you can't look away, and you can't change it. So you just kind of feel helpless to just watch how it plays out.
And pretty much everyone around him, even the fixers, like everybody, same fate, in the end. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: I believe it transcends the genre of anime. Like, I believe it's good enough in a vacuum that it should be like one of the top 5 pieces of visual media associated with Cyberpunk, even if it wasn't attached to the game. Like, I think it's that good. I don't know if that's overambitious. Colin, how do you rate this show overall?
Yeah, and when you were talking about visuals, I just cannot help but be struck by the Sandevistan's visualization of slow motion being that sort of kaleidoscope of colors, as he's moving, which of course mirrors Lucy's hair. And the visualization we got for that the first time, when you see that rainbow form,
Yep.
There is just a lot of like beautiful recurring imagery that is a theme of them. I'm a Gurren Lagann fan, so like I get that. I kind of disagree with you, Mike, in that show ends very bleakly, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, Gurren Lagann is a little sadder.
And this one, just like, you watch it and you just think like, well, they're not going to make me like this song anymore. And then the way it ends, and I told you guys recently my struggles with Neon Genesis Evangelion, where I think that, show. But Mike, I think this has the same sort of, anytime that David is sort of disassociating and having sort of like flashbacks or imagery that's surreal or not making sense, it feels very, Evangelion-esque. I just cannot help but be impressed by it. I don't think it's going to end up in my top 10 of the year, but again, I'm not a huge anime fan. I would agree with Mike that it's transcends it. And if my dad watched Castlevania, I think I can get him to watch this one too, that involves, a doc with a VR helmet on watching porn. Right. It's not like he's gonna think it's for kids or something,
I mean, that very opening scene is a killing spree.
I think anyone who's into Cyberpunk, anyone who's played the game or is just into the genre in general would be into it. I don't even think of anime so much as a genre, more as just a medium, right? But there are certainly tropes in a lot of animes, so you could say maybe it's sort of a genre, but I just consider it like animation, right? It's just sometimes different from Western animation, but I think it's a great show. All
right, well, let's go ahead.
Sorry.
I have a good segue, but go for it.
I'm
excited.
Oh, you got another comment? Cyber, or is it me? This is going terribly.
I lost my train of thought.
It is cyber psychosis. It's happening.
Cyber
you weren't taking your injections.
Well,
I'm
so-
losing my mind.
On the note of anime tropes, one anime trope I don't know if you guys are aware of is that anime mothers always have ponytails and always die. So that holds true here.
Yes.
We got Attack on
There's
Titan.
one
I
moment
think
that
Full Metal Alchemist. It happens a lot. Keep an eye out.
Do it.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Jacob.
and on that note, there's one moment that's really striking in the show too, when he's doing a job. There's a lab assistant or whatever, a bystander that he kills, and then he sees the picture of her with her son on her desk. She's trying to put her son through the academy or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like the bleakest thing in the world. Of like he killed his mom basically.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking
Damn.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
and he's like, the rest of it's just nameless. Who knows how many people he killed? He's not a hero. He's a murderer. He's a criminal, right? But like,
Yeah.
it's the one that he had a humanity that was a mother, right? If it's just other gang members, he doesn't care. But it was like, dang, that's my mom, and it kind of pushes him further towards the edge that he's running on. But
So it's a
as
great
we
show.
yeah, it's a great show, and I'll segue us into a great game because, it turns out he's so good at cyber that Arasaka's watching him his whole life and is like, we're gonna get him in an experimental robot machine because they think he can handle it, just as a field test. Like, we'll let him do anything to be a guinea pig. He gets in the robot Shinji. There's a big fight, and obviously Adam
gets in the
Smasher
robot.
kills very many of the crew. Rebecca, and then he kills David, unfortunately. So as soon as this ended, and I saw how sad Lucy was, and Rebecca getting smashed 3 times, instant replay, like,
Ooh, rough.
brutal. Her atoms were smashed. I knew in that moment that I would get the game, and I would do everything in my power to get revenge for David and Rebecca, and that's exactly what I did.
Hell yeah.
So let's talk
Wow.
Cyberpunk 2077, the game, right after this.
We're back. We're done Edgerunner here, but we're going to keep talking as we head to 2077. That's right, and talk a little bit about the video game Cyberpunk.
That's right. And I do remember what I was going to say in the last segment. And I am wondering about you guys, how you guys feel about this. I might have to turn in my weeb card because I watched this in the English dub, right? There's an English dub on Netflix.
This
There's
is
the
great.
original Japanese language. And I'm very
I'm
interested to
so
know.
happy that is what you're asking, and not were you attracted to the young
Were you
person?
attracted to Rebecca?
We don't
Yes,
know their
yeah.
age.
I don't think so.
but
She's
that's a
young.
trope
Yeah,
style
yeah,
character.
She's just short.
I don't want to hear
Yeah.
any
She's a
excuses
500-year-old
people are
vampire,
lying.
Colin.
Yeah, exactly. yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, I
She's
did
just a
watch
weirdly
this with
shaped-
the dub. Yeah.
With the English
Yeah,
dub.
so
Okay.
I know, Mike, you did the Japanese original language because you're a purist, and that's
I've watched
fine.
it twice now. I watched it in both. So.
Oh,
Um,
great.
But I think Jacob has a good point. And this, as a segue from the show to the game, I watched it in Japanese and I was more affected emotionally, I think. But honestly, I think the show is more immersive in the dub because after playing the game, they're not saying choom and eddies and shit in Japanese. Like the slang's
Right.
not getting dropped like it is when you're playing in Night City. And in that
True.
way, it's more like the game, more true to the experience of the game.
And that was sort of my reasoning. Well, my thoughts about, subs versus dubs or whatever. In animation, I can kind of, generally I do like the original language. Foreign language movies and stuff. I like those obviously with the original language. I don't like to dub over live action. I think that's terrible.
right.
Animation, you can kind of get away with it more because it doesn't really matter because, it might not match up with their mouths or something, but they can kind of, animation's a lot more fluid than live action, right?
It's a lot more lenient, yeah. The
yeah.
mouth shapes are little, they're drawing it. They're taking shortcuts, right?
Yeah.
You can do
Generally,
whatever.
in the original language, you get more of the nuance of the emotion, like you're saying. But I don't know Japanese, so I'm a lot of that nuance is probably lost on me. So for me, yeah, it's one because, in Night City, they're mainly speaking, they're mainly speaking English, right? It's set in America, so it kind of
So they're
doesn't make
mainly
sense
speaking
that
Spanish.
A
yeah,
lot
they
of
speak
things are getting live
Spanish,
translated,
Japanese.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it doesn't make sense for everyone to be speaking Japanese in Night City. Number two,
Yeah.
if I wanted to do something else while watching, sometimes I don't want to just have to read the subtitles constantly, even though I use subtitles all the time anyways for English stuff.
But you're
But
not dependent upon them to understand the
yeah,
story.
you
in
can kind of
English.
look
Yeah.
away and still kind of know what's
Turn
going
away.
on.
We turn
Yeah.
away when we talk Cyberpunk.
Turn away.
That's
Yeah,
right.
another way
Yes.
to be where you didn't want yourself to go. I think
So that's
Okay,
kind of
fine.
my reasoning. But
a
take
lot
my
of
weeb
people-
card if you must. Yes.
No, you can have it. I think you can keep it. I think subs versus dubs, I think that's becoming a tired argument anyway. We're not in the 90s where like shit ass dub company will just get whoever to
Right.
record. You know, like we
Yeah, I
have
think the
talented
dub for
actors
this was
doing them
good.
now.
Yeah, you got Giancarlo Esposito and
Mhm.
everything in the English version. So yeah, I think it's good.
The other advantage too is some of the characters that exist in the game, they have the same voice actor. Like Adam Smasher, the English voice actor from the game, it's the same voice actor
interesting.
for the
Oh, sure.
anime. There's a cameo
like it.
from Rogue, so anything like that carries over, and it creates a continuity.
Rogue.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
like
I
you said,
like that.
you want to hear the slang, you want to hear choom, gonk, eddies, all those great slang terms. that
All
we
those
love.
things, yeah.
Now, these are what we're saying, slang terms that, yes, originated in a tabletop game, and yes, you know, are in this anime we're talking about, but are entrenched in our vocabulary now because
Mhm.
we are all playing this video game. We're playing it with friend of the podcast, Cole. We are trying to convince our other friends, host Joe, to play this game. We are all texting each other constantly,
Mhm.
where we're at, what
We're
we're
taking
doing, what we're
screenshots.
wearing.
Yeah.
That is, I
Yeah.
would
Bit
say,
check.
to me, the highlight of playing this game so far. I love the community of the fact that we're all playing it at the same time.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would have a couple Discord days where there'd be like 3 different people playing Cyberpunk,
My
sharing their
God.
screen. Hey, check out my motorcycle, man. You know, turn on the
Yeah.
lights of the wheels.
And I think that's what's so cool is that everyone has like kind of a different play style where like you build your character, the way you build your character, what weapons you use, obviously your fit. Like fit to me is very important. Like I'm spending like 90% of my time in
Let's-
this game picking my outfits out.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about what's the most important thing to you while you're playing this game. Jacob, it's to you, it's that fit. It's what you're
It's the
wearing.
fit.
It's what you're dropping eddies on.
It's
Mm-hmm.
my cars, my guns. You know, I got to have the best everything. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, for me, as I said, I vowed to take revenge on Adam Smasher for Rebecca and David. So I am playing
And
the
Johnny
entire
Silverhand.
game, yeah, with the expressed goal in mind.
Mike believes he's in a sequel.
I am. No, to me, this is how I frame it. The game is extended universe for the anime. In my world, that's all it
hilarious.
is.
Amazing.
But they added an expansion to tie into the game where there's a couple items. You can get David's jacket. I was able to get Rebecca's shotgun, and you can get that really early on. It's like a free item.
Yeah, that's
if you
just
know
the
where to
kind
find
of
it.
gun that she uses, right?
But it has higher damage and higher recoil.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little bit
I
souped
did
up
get,
version.
Yeah, I do have David's jacket in the game now, so I've gotten to that quest or whatever.
Right, but what's most
You
important
watched the
to
trailer
me,
for the anime.
yeah. No, to
Well,
answer Colin's
and also
question-
the show
oh,
is
or not.
a prequel for the game. Right?
True.
'Cause
Right.
That's set in 2076, so technically this is a sequel to the show. So
A
you're
one
correct. Mike.
I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's like a David Martinez drink in the afterlife, which famously, if you go out on top, you get a drink named after you. So there's a Johnny Silverhand, a Jackie
I didn't
Wells, and a
even
David
notice that.
Martinez.
I only
Yeah.
buy Jackie Wells dogs. That's
Oh,
crazy.
I've been
R.I.P.
making David
Jackie.
Martinez's at home. But
Wow, Mike.
for David, sorry, Japanese, for Davido, I will never.
He's
But
in
the most
it.
important
He's in
thing,
it, listeners.
yeah, all I wanted to do was get Rebecca's shotgun and then kill Adam Smasher with it. That was my driving force. Colin, what was your
Wow.
driving force? What's your motivation in Night City?
This is, you know what? I'm so mixed on open world games, and I've gone so back and forth on it. This one, I have never had more fun driving around and just kind of walking around in the place. I get lost not doing missions, not getting anything done. I can
Totally,
spend an
totally.
hour and a half hanging out in fucking Night City. This is a fucking atmosphere game.
I
I'm-
love it.
I'm
yeah.
the same way, Colin. Like this city, first of all, it's one of the most detailed video game cities we've ever seen.
Yes.
Where you can just walk around any part, and it's just like you're in Blade Runner, like 24/7. Like you can go get
Yes.
some noodles at the noodle stand. Like you can do
Yeah.
everything. And I love just walking around. Once you get the double jump legs, you can just parkour and like get to different
Yeah,
areas
dude.
on like top of buildings and stuff you didn't think you could reach. It's
Mhm.
insane. The level of the verticality of this city, the everything about it is just very detailed, right?
It's super dense. Yeah. I mean, the variety of encounters, all the different gangs, the territories that they control. You know, I was introduced to them in the anime, right? But all the gangs from the anime are in you know, the
Yes.
show. They're in the game, you know. So the
Right,
Maelstrom
yes.
is in the anime. The Tiger Claws, all that stuff is directly drawn from the game. So it was cool for me to discover them, you know, the way they exist in Night City, the video game version, and just be like, oh, that's from, you know, the reverse of what Jacob did, basically.
What
Yeah.
most people did, yeah.
Yeah. No.
Totally. But yeah, and I mean, well, Mike, do you
let's
want to
say
talk
that
about
spoilers just in case. If anybody's
yeah,
not played
spoilers
the
for the
game,
whole
thing,
game
yeah.
plot, and let's say
Side
where we
quests.
are in the story, because
that's a great
yeah, how
idea,
far did
too.
we get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
for me, I still have not finished the main campaign, but where I am at is I'm at the point of that Nocturne OP 155 whatever quest.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's the point of no return quest. So I haven't started it
Okay.
yet. I want to finish all the side content before I actually go into that last quest.
Gotcha.
But I know
Colin-
broad strokes of kind of what happens already. So
Right.
I'll say
I'm
that.
definitely the least then. Don't know what main quest I would be at to even call it, because it's truly, I find a lot of these to be like, okay, you drop that thing off for me. Drive around for a couple hours. I'm going to call you again. And I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
know you are. I don't know what you're going to call me with next. But I have done all the side missions. You guys know my thing with video games where like I never even try to like pay attention to what the story is. I'll play with the volume off, other distractions, all that stuff.
Mhm.
I didn't do that for this one. I have my headphones on that plug into my PlayStation 5 controller. I can fucking hear and listen to the world as I'm sort of like living in it and stuff. And I know the characters and the
Yeah.
stories I've had with them, but for the life of me, like with Sato, who is the guy that I'm even trying to help outside
Oh,
of Johnny
Takamura?
Silverhands? Yeah, I'm doing stuff with him. I have
So
no
the way
idea
it's
what.
structured, the way the main
Mhm.
quest is structured, right? So you have
And you
the,
can't spoil anything for me. Like, yes, but
Right.
say anything.
well, it
please.
starts out
Mm.
you have this big gig you're doing. Well, first of all, you have three starting paths, right? Corpo,
Right.
Street Kid, Nomad. They don't have a ton of consequence once you get into the main part of the game, but it's just the way your story starts, I guess.
Like the
Um,
intro portion is different,
yeah.
but
Yeah. But then you get in, you meet your friend Jackie Wells, great guy. You're living the Edgerunner life, basically. You get this gig where you have to steal something from Arasaka Tower, right? And that's the big
they're
heist.
one of the big three corporate powers,
Right.
which are also
That's
government.
right.
So that's a
And
big
they're
big job.
Right.
Yeah, and they're heavily featured in the anime as well.
Mhm.
So you do this job at Arasaka. It goes wrong, of course. Jackie dies, RIP.
No.
You get this chip put in you that is a construct of Johnny Silverhand. And this is, of course, Keanu Reeves.
Wake
Johnny
up,
Silverhand, if you
samurai.
know, yes.
Yeah.
And if you know a little bit about the cyberpunk world, or if you looked it up or interested, like Johnny Silverhand's like a legacy character, like Morgan Blackhand
From the
and
board
like
game.
Adam Smasher. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
like
did not
Adam
know any of
Smasher
that.
is like
That's
his
cool.
rival and everything.
Right.
So you have
That's true.
this construct in your mind of Keanu Reeves, Johnny Silverhand, who talks to you and is like slowly taking over your brain and your body. So again, it's getting into that transhumanism on another level where it's like your entire body is going to be converted into Johnny Silverhand, basically.
He'll take
He's
over your whole
downloading
identity.
you. Yeah.
So you're trying to stop that. You're trying to not die, and you're trying to get this chip out of your head. Meanwhile, there's this whole conspiracy with Arasaka, where the head guy of Saburo Arasaka is killed by his son. This is a
Mhm.
whole conspiracy you got to
coup.
go into. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he tries to cover it up, like, and then he's trying to take over Arasaka, but you were witnesses to this,
You
so
have
you're
the
trying
info.
to...
Yeah.
Yeah. There's kind of this whole plot.
So you become a kind of a central figure into this whole plot. Then the main quest kind of breaks down. It kind of breaks down into three lanes, right? You've got the Judy quest, you've got the Pan Am quest, and you've got the Takamura quest, right? So you can kind of do those in any order.
They're all
once
kind
you-
of linked. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
There's
kind of
also a
linked
couple,
together.
like, I don't know if you guys ever hung out with River. That's like another side quest that goes on later on.
Yeah.
There's Carrie Uridine, but I think, it's another one of those. Like, he has as much as to do with Judy, but he's a little more peripheral, Blade Runner-y.
And those
All
are
that
both
to say-
romance characters as well.
Yeah.
Ticking clock to keep yourself alive. But Mike, where are you out of all of that?
Okay, so where I am, I did... Again, I finished the anime. I immediately installed the game because X-Kaita we finished the anime at midnight on my birthday. He got me the Steam code for my birthday.
And
So I
Wow.
played it laser focused. I did do all the side quests. I've done everything that I can.
You've like basically
You're
100%
done, so.
at the game.
As
Wow.
much as they'll like, nobody's calling me missions. I have a couple like police scanner with, but everything
You
else
haven't-
is
Sure.
done.
Until you've done every scanner hustle.
And I
Man,
didn't buy every
fucking-
car, but I have every
what's
house.
her name? Fucking Angelica Jones or Angelica Ross calling you 27 times in a row.
Yeah.
You answered that fucking gig that many times, Mike.
You've
That's
done every
ridiculous.
gig, you've done
I
every
did all of
side
them.
quest that you know of.
That's
Yep,
crazy.
all the Cyber Psychos, every side quest.
That's
And
crazy.
I've beaten the game. I've gotten 4 different endings now, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, there's different endings
Yeah.
depending on your relationship with the different side characters. So if you choose not to, like, if you don't complete the Pan Am quests, you can't necessarily get her ending, or the Judy quests, or the rogues. There's like a rogue side quest.
There's a
right?
rogue side quest which
Okay.
has to do with Johnny. So depending on who you're close to, you can. But what's cool is if you beat the game, it reverts you to directly the point of no return mission, which is
Right.
That's the point at which the endings splinter off. So by loading you there every time you beat the game, you keep your levels and stuff. You have
Yeah.
all the gear from beating the game, except now you can do it another way. So if you have side quests that aren't done, you didn't get close enough with that character, you can finish that and then go do a new ending. So I've just been exploring the
Wow.
different endings.
Right.
I've
See,
done the
for me,
Corpo
I-
ending. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I've done like a Corpo ending. I've done like a solo, like I soloed Arasaka. I just went in by myself, guns blazing. I've done one where Johnny kind of takes over the body, you know? And
Right.
It's some weird stuff. And like one more random one, but
Yeah.
Wow.
See, for me,
Yeah.
I don't want to start the last quest until I at least finish the different side character quests, right? So there's the Pan Am quest. I want to complete her quest tree. I want to complete the Judy quest tree, the River. I haven't
Yep.
even met Carrie Uridine yet. I know that's another like romance character that has like a
Mhm.
quest line. I don't even know how
he's
to
one
meet
of
him, so
Johnny's
I-
bandmates from
Well,
Okay.
and sorry,
Samurai.
real quick, we have not said our genders. We have not
Yes,
said.
let's say
any
that.
of
Let's say
where
our
we
play
lean.
style.
Yes,
and-
who you are in love with.
right.
Yes. So I'll say, so my first playthrough, I was a male. Gave
Mm.
myself a micro penis, of course.
Yes, excellent, of course.
Yes, but I was a
I had to
street
get that
kid
modded
male.
special. I said, "Hey, can you downsize this, Doc?"
Yeah. I was a street
Fix
kid
me up.
male who I was going for the, I was romancing Pan Am and everything, typical,
Overcompensating.
typical straight white male. This playthrough, I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to gender bend it. I'm going to play as a woman. I'm going to be a corpo woman. And I'm going to do the Judy.
money.
So the way the romance works, right? If you want to romance Judy, you have to be a female. You have to have a female body and a female voice, right? If you want to romance
Mhm.
Pan Am, you have to have a male body, male voice.
Same thing with
River-
River. I think it's
Yeah, and Carrie
male.
Uridine.
Yep.
So River is female, and then Carrie Uridine is male. So there's 2 options. If you're a male, there's 2 options. If you're a female, there's 2 options.
Oh, River then can do both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Harry
so-
Uridine can't take my huge dick. There's no way I can be with that guy.
so I'm into so I'm in love with Judy now, and we're just girlfriends, and it's going great.
That's great. That's great. I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah.
I, as you disparagingly put, straight white mailed it. I'm Pan Am was my GF. I haven't done
Yeah.
the Pan Am ending yet with the Aldecott, but that's an option too. You can do a
Right.
Pan Am ending, so that's on the table. I'll probably do that one next. Colin, how about you though?
I'm playing as a trans M to F woman.
Nice.
I am playing as a woman with a penis who does identify as a woman because, of course, you can you
Pick your
there's
body
no
and your voice, right, separately.
you do pick the voice separately.
Yeah, so you can pick a masculine or feminine body, and
You
then
can
a
pick
masculine or
genitals
feminine
separately
voice.
too.
Okay, I wasn't
No.
sure that you
Yeah.
could do the voices separately because to me it seemed like it was kind of locking you into some binary. But I am a woman, but I almost
Yeah.
even want to be. Yes, I am introduced as a woman, so I am happy about that.
There you go.
I love it. I love my character. I love my V. She's a Corpo. She's
nice.
I don't know if you know this, Mike. I'm
Hmm.
curious what ending I'll get because I'm going against relationships. I'm an incel. My V is not doing any relationships.
An
with
insane
anyone
way to play the game.
because no, because she wants to be with Misty, who was, of
Oh,
course, the
Jackie's
girlfriend of Jackie. And
That's why I did
since
the
it's not a
tarot quest
relationship
first.
tier, that's exactly why I did the tarot quest first. That, you know, I'm not going to progress with anyone else, and I just go and talk to her. And again, it is one of those things where it's like, I wish this game was more filled out. Jacob, you said the noodle stand stuff before. That's great. Every shop you should be able to shop at, and every person you should get more to do with.
Well,
Misty eventually becomes one of these people that's just like, how are you? Read your cards? You again? V, read your cards? And it's like, no, just like be
But
alive.
I think that's a big drawback of the game is that it had the potential to be like an amazing once in a generation kind of game. And instead it's merely a pretty good game, but it could have gone like next level compared to something like Red Dead Redemption. I think there's a lot more stuff going on in the world in that game where you can just randomly stumble into situations. Here it's like when you're walking around the streets, yeah, it's very detailed, but all the civilians are just walking around. You can't talk to them, you can't interact.
Doing nothing. It still crashes for me once a playthrough. Listeners, I think I've got it the worst out of all these guys according to our text, but I get like when I look at the kids, and I know this has been pointed out, but the models of the kids just being shrunken down adults, it's so lazy looking. There's so many shoddy cut corners, Jacob, but it's like I like it. Could have been amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's a case of like this game should have been released like 2 years later than it was released. They try to rush things, cut a lot of things out that were originally going to be in it just to make their deadlines, and this is the game we got.
But
they tried to fix it.
To make simple fixes of like, should everything in the HUD be the same color? No, probably not. It should all have individual colors for each type of, you know, different thing that you're tracking, right? Well, no, we're not going to update that because we blew it one time, and you know, it's just like it's already made. What do we do? And it's like, I know you could fix this.
I'll do a quick sidebar. I complained a lot about the menu system, and Jacob's just like, you'll get used to it. It's kind of like The Witcher, but I had big problems with it. I still think it could be done better, but I learned it. I didn't like learning it.
It could be streamlined though, Mike. It's
menus are very you know, hard to learn, right? So they're I'm trying to think of the word.
Unintuitive, and there's not good signaling like where you should look. Like you know.
And that's why for me it was easy. If you've played The Witcher 3, for some reason the menus in that game are like almost identical. Like,
so it's like they just copied their own work to save time.
That's horrifying to me. That sounds terrible.
Well, it's
so the fact that I, you know, and when I played Witcher 3, I was like, these menus are terrible, but I got used to them over time. So then when I played this game, I was like, okay, this is basically the same thing. So I can see how they would be confusing to you. Yeah.
Well, as much as the listeners would love hearing more about menus, you know, they are confusing and you can learn them. Let's go back to kind of the world or the story. I mean, yeah.
I wanted to ask Colin about, so he's in love with Misty.
That's right.
So I've never heard anyone want to romance Misty, but another character that people online have heard, they're like, oh, I wish there was a mod where you could, and maybe someone's making a mod where you could romance this other character, Claire, who is your racing friend, right? Who is a transgender woman in the game.
You can't romance Claire?
I love Claire.
I did her whole quest, Claire. But I pissed her off because I just pissed her off. I thought it was going to be a romance option though. Anyway,
she is not, but a lot of people want her to become a romance option. Yeah.
Huh. Hey, here's my romance dark horse, Brendan, the vending machine.
I love Brendan.
Yeah, that's a great quest too.
Let me take him home. If I discovered that something was alive, I'd be like, oh, I'll move you into my apartment and give you a cell phone or like log you into the internet.
I started my journey wanting revenge for Rebecca and David. By the end, I also wanted revenge for Brendan. He was part of it. I was like, no, man, Brendan was my friend.
Right.
That's season 2.
Is the vending machine that is maybe sentient or just maybe a really well written like algorithm.
Yeah. Or a glitch in an algorithm. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
In my head, he's alive.
He knows a joke.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys this too before we get more into the story and stuff, but your play style. So for me,
that's good.
You can. It's an RPG, right? So you can build your character different ways. You can't max out every stat, so you have to choose what you're putting your points into, what weapons you're using, that kind of thing. For me, I'm a pistol boy. I'm a katana boy, or girl, I guess you could say. So I'm a sharpshooter. I've got my revolver, the Overture revolver. with a silencer and a scope. I call it my Blade Runner gun. I sneak around. I headshot people. Crit damage is huge. I also, if I need to go up close, I've got my katana. I'm net hacking.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of got multiple talents, but I dumped like the body stat, so I didn't do any, you know, unarmed fighting or shotguns or blunt weapons, basically.
Got it. The
Let
blades
me
and
ask you
pistols
guys.
mainly. Yeah.
Blades, pistols, assault rifles as well. That's
And
my
net
other weapon.
running. You're in
And
that.
net running.
You're in that bathtub ice cubes.
And I can do stealth if I need to, but so many times you don't need to because you're just so overpowered. So you can just go in and fuck everyone up. Right.
You had said that. I'll say my playthrough. You had said that to us. That you're gonna get so OP, you don't need to worry about that. And I was like, no, I'm going to really lean towards stealth. So here's my bifurcation of my two styles that I did. Because Jacob, you smartly also text us and were like, focus on one thing. Exactly what you said about it being an RPG.
One or two or three.
You're not going to be able to spread it out. Play smart here. And we're like, okay. So I was kind of had that in my mind the whole time. And I did net running and I liked it, but it was a lot of stuff of like, everybody's blind. I'll walk up and cut your heads off with a katana. And I was like, you know, they're not doing a challenge or like even trying to introduce stealth into that. So after the anime, I re-spec'd out and did the Sandevistan with the katana. I gotta say, I had a fucking blast playing that way. Super slow-mo, super fast motion, running around, cutting people up, sliding to the next person, doing another. I mean, it makes you feel badass, dude.
Yeah. I have not ever tried the Sandevistan in this game. I've got the 6-slot maxed out, you know, cyber deck or whatever. But I've never. So basically, you can either do the net running route where you have all hacks, or you can use the Sandevistan, which slows down time, and you can just become.
There's also a Berserker one, but I've never used that one either.
Yeah, I've never used that either.
No, but it's a play style, so there's you know, play variety. For me, again, I'm on a revenge mission, so I got Rebecca's shotgun, and then I forsook every other thing in the game. I only use that shotgun.
This guy.
I do net run. I can turn invisible, and I have
Where
Rebecca's
do you get
shotgun.
that?
Oh, that's at the cyber at the docks. Yeah. I've got the invisibility
Corpos.
as well.
How have I not gotten that? Really?
I try not to use it though because I feel like it makes stealth too easy. Where it's just like, oh, I can just make myself invisible and just run by everybody, or I can try to sneak around.
No, I walk directly up to them and hold Rebecca's shotgun to their face, and I unload. Wow. And that's what I do. But so my play style is revenge with Rebecca's shotgun. When I do have the non-lethal something, I found a giant dildo, and I use that to non-lethally beat people to death. So a little bit of blunt weapon training. But my favorite thing in the game is Rebecca's shotgun is so powerful of a recoil. If you jump off of a tall building and shoot the ground before you land, you will survive with 0 damage. So I'll be in a heist, 32 floors up. You got to steal the item. I'll go invisible, murk the dude with the item, grab it, and then just jump off the roof, shoot the ground, and walk away like nothing happened. It's like the smoothest
That is
heist.
amazing. And wait, it's Arsenal. Is that what the stat is for shotgun or whatever it is?
It's assault.
Body.
Assault,
and then
thank you,
assault.
assault.
No, annihilation.
Yeah, assault is in. So there's reflex and body, which reflex has pistols, assault rifles, and katanas or sharp weapons.
Blades. Yeah.
Body has shotguns. I think SMGs as well.
Stealth has
blunt weapons and unarmed fighting. So like there's like any good RPG, like you can't max everything out. So you kind of have to trade, you know, I'm going to dump this stat or that stat. So like for me, I was really weak body. I had a hard time with the fist fights that you have to do as one of the side missions because I'm just like a weak person with a pistol that just shoots everybody.
I was annihilation. I could destroy them because I had so much in body and I had high HP and whatever. Yeah.
But if you try to get into snipers or something like that, you're not going to have.
It's not Rebecca's gun. I didn't touch it. Yeah.
Has anyone here tried a physical add-on like Gorilla Arms or Mantis Blade?
I've tried them all just to see what they're like. Like I've tried the Mantis Blades. I've tried the Mono Wire, which is the like
Lucy's weapon from the anime.
Yes,
which is from the game and then in the anime. But anyway, you know,
when she's fucking sliding down buildings with that thing in like the 9th episode,
or cuts all the Maelstrom's arms off at like one go or something. But
and like in my first playthrough, I thought, oh, I'm going to use Mantis Blades. Like they're so cool looking. I'm going to use them all the time. What I realized is actually funner. It's more fun to fight people with just a katana than the Mantis Blades. For me, anyways. Like I like the animation of the attacks better, and it's just easier to use. So as much as I think the Manus Blades look cool, I don't think they're that practical.
Gotcha. I have.
But I do use the. I do use the
Bazooka
double
arm.
jump legs. The gorilla arms are good for non-lethal fighting too. They just kind of make you stronger at punching things.
I ended
Right.
up being a super jump instead of a double jumper.
Okay, yeah, that's the
yeah.
other option. Yeah,
I tried them both. I think the double jump I found more utility because I can use it on the fly. I have to like plan to use the super. You have to charge it,
Right.
but both fun, and that's the part of the expression of play. I because I'm a revenge for the Edgerunners, I have the arm cannon that Maine has that David.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes,
yes,
of
that one too. I have that as
course.
well.
So
Mike,
it's all close range for me, you know.
you got to get those hands.
I
And
give me
you can
Pillar's
also,
hands, bro. Yeah.
You can also get like the invisibilities that you put in the grenade slot. You can
Mhm.
also get a launcher that you put in the grenade slot that you just like shoot
Yeah.
missiles and shit out of your arm.
I got a blood
That's the
pack
main-
in
that's
there
Main's
that
arm,
heals
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main's arm.
I have a heart where if I die, I automatically revive with full health.
Right.
And the cooldown is
that's
2
amazing.
minutes. So when I was fighting Atom Smasher, he killed me. And then I was streaming with some friends who were like, "Oh, you died." I'm like, "No, I didn't." And then I get right back up and I
Fucking round
fucked
two.
him up
Oh,
with a
yeah.
dildo and a shotgun.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom.
And Colin, let me ask you this: so you were mainly melee weapons, but what did you
Yes.
use any guns or just melee?
I once it got up to when you find some iconic or legendary, because I always like to be like, oh, this is like the stuff in a lot of these RPG games where you find like it's not even colored. It's like the not below green, like it's the total common loot. I'm like, get this fucking shit out of here. Even up to purple, like I don't want any. If it can
Right.
scale, whatever. Get me the legendary thing.
Give me orange,
so once
right.
I finally found like a fucking orange crazy shotgun, yeah, I started
sure.
rocking that too.
You can get
Nice.
Johnny's pistol, which has like an awesome reload animation.
Its
What?
melee is sick too because he just shoots
Yeah.
fire out of the fucking barrel.
I have that's incredible. I have that pistol that's alive, the one that's like,
Oh,
hey,
Skippy.
how are ya?
Oh, yes, I
Lethal
have
or
that one too.
non-lethal?
I dude, I went
Lethal.
lethal on him. And here's the thing. I always take him with me because it's another thing like Brendan where I'm like, if I find these things that are alive, like they're real, I'm not gonna get rid of them.
I
Yeah.
never use him, but he's always equipped.
Yeah, you
Always
can't
equipped.
unequip him actually. Once you get him, you can't take him out of your inventory.
Can't put him in the box. He's always in your inventory, but
Yeah.
he's always
I
in an
didn't
equipped
know
slot.
that.
Oh, you equipped him, yeah.
I always
He has
have.
a
Yeah,
there's a quest associated with Skippy. I won't spoil it, but there's more to the story of Skippy. Check it
That
out.
might be the last side quest I have then, because it still has the weird little circle thing like a quest next to it,
Yeah,
and I
'cause it's
kept
a quest
wondering if
item.
there's something I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Along with like Johnny's items and stuff like that, you can't take them out of your inventory once you get them.
Yeah.
But you mentioned another thing that I spec'd into, which is the whole crafting upgrade thing, which some people they don't get into at all. Me, I kind of like that kind of inventory management. Like,
You're a
I'm kinda
miner
weird
boy,
about that.
a
Yeah.
Minecraft boy. You love
love
a
to sort
craft
things in my
experience.
inventory.
Yes.
I
Mhm.
love to, you know.
The Resident
but
Evil
it's-
4 inventory systems high on your list is like
Yeah.
best.
Sort, spin,
Well, I
sort,
like
Rotate.
having an unlimited because I'm
Attaché.
kind of a hoarder,
Yeah.
so I like to have an unlimited inventory. Or what I do in this game, which is totally like, I know most people don't do this. There's no point to it, but I have to have one unique version of every weapon in my stash, which is like you can have unlimited stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
if I look in my stash, I can just scroll for like days and just have every single gun that I find before I
at
sell
least
anything.
one type. Yes.
Yeah, I sell duplicates, or if I get like a higher version, I'll sell the lower version.
Yeah.
But every piece of clothing, every weapon, like I keep it all because I'm just an extreme hoarder.
You're broken.
Yeah, I did it with Witcher 2. Like I had every sword in that freaking game.
Nice.
I never use any of them. I just keep them in this chest, and sometimes
Never,
I'll just look
never
at them.
switch off the thing you like.
No,
Yeah.
I made a mistake not speccing into that to upgrade stuff. Like I ended up doing some levels in Reflex early. Then I got Rebecca's gun and said, nope, shouldn't have done that.
Right.
So I would have liked to be able to upgrade because I'm not smart enough to upgrade Rebecca's gun. I can't upgrade legendary items.
Oh,
so
yeah,
like
well, you have to
I would
get all
love to
the
have
way
a more
to,
powerful version of that, but I can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
and you really need to commit to crafting because you have to get to level 18 to do legendary upgrades.
yeah.
So, but what you can do, like, so you can upgrade like blues into greens to purples or whatever.
yeah.
I can upgrade purples to orange, which is legendary. And it's just a way where you can get the gun that you like and not have to switch it out for something that has better stats, because you can just upgrade the stats and keep that game, those weapons for most of the game.
And I'm pretty sure Rebecca's gun is a purple, so I wouldn't need to get to 18, but maybe you would. But either way, it's like, yeah, I want to upgrade it because I'm just married to that gun as part of my revenge tour for David and Rebecca.
Yeah.
Like, I can't not. I wear the jacket and I carry that gun. That's what I do.
Right. But I just love the whole like attachments. You can put different modifiers and stuff. Like I'm all about that kind of
Make
thing.
it yours.
I love just like making super OP weapons that like I can just blast anyone with it and just kill them immediately.
Let's roll into some future talk of it. So DLC wise, because we know it's supposed to come. Are we thinking it's going to gear more towards this sort of more customization, more guns, more attachments, more melee weapons?
I know from the story angle, it's dealing with political, like the government and stuff. That's kind of
it's called Phantom
theme
Liberty,
of it.
right?
So,
Yeah.
wow, and we're going to get a full story elements, some side quests,
and new areas,
some main
a new
quests,
zone.
and new areas.
If you know anything about the background of the world, like there's the free states of America or whatever, there's the unified states. So like Night City is kind of a neutral zone between these two, basically America's like split into different countries now. So there's the big Corpo wars where Arasaka and Militech were basically fighting against each other as like countries, and Night City is kind of a neutral zone. So I think that's going to be a lot of it is like the political side of things and like picking sides in this war and everything.
It seems like there's more with Johnny too, like because he fought in South America during some of these conflicts during the corporate wars and stuff. So he'll probably be like, "How dare you side with those blah blah blah?" He'll say something.
If you do some of the Pan Am quests, like her buddies were all like veterans of the Corpo wars and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would love to see more customization. Like one thing they added in the latest patch when the anime came out was the whole outfit system, where you can have an aesthetic outfit but keep whatever best stats your clothes have without having to worry about wearing a bunch of random. Like in a lot of RPGs, you a lot of times, I like to look
top hat. Yeah.
I like to pick style over stats because I'm just a freak like that. But this allows you to have both, right?
Yeah.
Fashion hunting is what they call it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that what I like about, that's an update that I like. Another thing they could do is vehicle customization. I would love some vehicle customization.
Big miss. Yes, because there are some way better like colored cars or motorcycles.
Some coats of paint would be interesting. Yeah.
You can't even change the color of any cars or vehicles in the game. Like
even if there's
whatever
different
color it
colors
is, that's
on
what
the
it
map.
is.
Right, they exist. You just can't have it. Yeah, that's a bummer. I think I want the metro system. Modders have already added it, but I want to ride the monorail like David going to school every day.
Of course.
Yeah, why can't I do that?
Are you bugged at all moving around the map at all, Mike? There's enough of the quick move places, but
no, so here's where I'm at. I'm on a revenge tour. And as such,
again, as you said,
somebody had created a mod that's a radio station that was only music from the Edgerunners anime.
Oh, yes.
Put all of that on a radio station.
I've witnessed this live watching you play.
So then what I did is I went into that code and I net runned it. I jacked in and I made a new version of the radio station that I call Radio David. And it only plays that one song, I Really Want to Stay at Your House, over and over and over again. And the rule is I never teleport anywhere. I always ride my motorcycle and I listen to that song and I look at the moon. And that's every time. I've
witnessed this man playing this game. He drives around in the motorcycle listening to this song over and over. It's true. I also don't use the quick travel locations I've used them like occasionally if I'm going like across the entire map for like a quest or something. I'm like, all right, I'll use it this time. But I try to mostly drive, and I mainly stick to Jackie's Arch because I like that motorcycle. I like the color of it and everything. But
like
lately I've been buying different cars and stuff just to try them out. The driving this game is kind of not great. Yeah, but I'm getting used to it, and I like the different handling of the different cars. So now I'm all about driving different cars around the city and just blending in with city life.
You have a favorite vehicle, Colin, yeah.
Well, and here's just what I'll say about the handling real quick is to say that because I agree with you that it's bad, but it's also some of my favorite that's ever been in a video game because it does have that very realistic controls of like Mike, I know you're a fucking Akira Slide fan, but the burnout donut of it all, the ability to sort of quick change your direction, but also that you have to deal with the physics of I did just whip around, so I'm wobbling and go like there.
Let me say
it is very realistic.
Caveat
of it.
when we say handling is bad, that is for cars. Motorcycles feel great in this game.
Yeah, but even the
cars are growing on.
Yeah, there's a learning curve.
If you tried to do the same stuff as motorcycles, it just has a weird feel. But I'm with you guys. I like Jackie's Arch. I mean, that's all I roll around on.
It's great. And but the cars are growing on me. And the thing is with the cars, they all have different handling. So they have different top speeds, different turning ability. So like some of the faster cars, they're not necessarily better. Like I have the fastest car in the game, the Caliburn that you get from the Merkman
side.
Merkman.
We love
Merkman in the desert.
But that car is impossible to drive in the city because if you have to do a turn in it, you're just wiping out immediately, right?
Yeah, so you take it out to the country. Yeah,
you can take it out in the country or on the highway, just be blazing around.
The wasteland.
210, I think it's the fastest car.
Yeah. But I also have I got this car, the Quartz Bandit. And this car is like a little orange car. It goes maybe like 165 top speed, but the handling on it, I love it. I'm driving around the city, having a blast. And there's some cars that do handle a lot better. There's like the Badlands cars, they have a lot better traction and stuff. So I think cars are growing on me in this game and becoming more drivable. Yeah.
Some of the dirt bikes, maybe it's a placebo, but like some of the dirt bike designs, they're better off-road than on-road. Like they get thrown off by rocks less, I think. But never drive the Mia. That it looks like a 3D Dorito. That thing is so hard to turn. The turning radius is so narrow.
Sure, yeah.
That's the first car I bought.
It's like one of those smart cars.
Sure.
I ride
now that I have all this disposable cash, I'm buying like some of the more expensive cars and stuff just to try them out. Yeah.
That's part of the quest I haven't done. I haven't bought every car. I have every house, like I think maybe
I have every house as well now.
Your body's all modded out. See, guys, we're all just falling in.
And I'm gonna run to the edge. Crazy, but hell of a game.
Hell of a game.
I think
hell of a game. Is there anything you want to say about the story that we haven't mentioned?
Well, it's hard because it's such like a individual thing. Like the endings you could spoil, but it's like any is there anything you've experienced that really stuck with you?
Yeah.
Like Brendan being one. Any standout side missions for you guys besides Merkman?
I really like
That's not even a mission,
character, like I mentioned, the character quest trees, like Judy, Pan Am, River. Like I think those are some of the best side quests. Like the Judy quest, I really love. The last mission of it, Pyramid Song, named after a Radiohead song. And that was like one of my favorite quests in the game because you're not fighting anybody, but it's just about your relationship with Judy.
And all the sad stuff that's happened in that quest.
Yes.
Is Judy one of the most organic people in the Cyberpunk world? She seems very non-chromed up, right?
She might be, which is interesting because she's a techie. She's like she's a
BD runner,
editor. Yeah,
she's got a cyber deck, but she's not all chromed out with like other mods. Yeah, interesting.
It's just all up here in the brain, man.
Pan Am's probably Ganic as hell too.
Yeah, the Pan Am quest I love. The Takamura, the Takamura main quest where you're doing the parade float thing. Where I love that quest so much. Where I'm sneaking around, picking off people.
Yeah.
I was having a blast with that one.
The crowd density is really high. Yeah, and then there's like one of the rare boss fights, in that mission. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Side quests, Brendan was definitely one of them. River had a cool story. It was very
very dark.
Teens were being kidnapped and hooked up to like cow machines. It was fucking wild.
Yes,
rescue them.
But notable aside, let's do this. Let's ask some where it's like, what's the moral choice that you took? Like, did you turn the wife in to the husband who hires you as a PI?
Oh, that she might. So the guy who they're getting spied on, that one?
Yeah.
There's like a room. I told him what was happening, and then he was like, all right, I'll figure it out. But I didn't get much follow-up with that.
I don't remember. Oh, there's a second part of that quest that I haven't done yet, I think.
Gotcha.
Oh, maybe
that's why it's tricky.
Part.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to do. I have a
How
question.
about the guy who was crucified? Did you kill him?
Sinnerman? Did you guys do Sinnerman? That's an incredible side quest. Yes.
That's
Did you do it?
That's an interesting one.
I did not do it. I was like, no.
So this is fucking crazy.
Yes.
I am
Well,
out of
I
here.
did it.
I
because,
know.
I mean, he
yeah,
wanted
of
me
course.
to.
Yeah, because it's sexual.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
He was into it.
No, it's
you know.
not.
For the player, maybe, but not for
Yeah.
not a, yeah. Anyway, so he wanted you to. I think that was weird. Though, like it's a really cool side quest because it's like he's kind of being exploited by the Corpo BD producers, but then he thinks he's. I don't know. It's just
It's a
fascinating.
religious angle where he wants to be crucified like Christ, basically, and he's a former murderer who's like changed and become.
And they're going to capture his brain wavelengths while he's getting crucified to sell that brain dance to people.
Right.
At their best, when you're in a good cyberpunk mission, gig, side quest, side mission, any of these things, you're in a good Black Mirror episode where you're oh, there's kind of like levels, there's twists, there's multitudes going on. And then some of them, it's like, you do it and you're like, yeah, I know where this is going, or yeah, this is like fucking dumb as hell. And they just, some of them just really do not feel as imaginative.
There's one small one that I remember pretty clearly, and it's only like two events, but there's these two monks, and they've been kidnapped by the Maelstrom, and they're forced them to put chrome on their bodies, which means based on their belief that they would not be able to enter into heaven.
Religion.
And I'm like, that is so fucked up. And then you meet them later, and they're like, yeah, we're doing our best. Thanks for saving my brother. But it's like, what a wild idea that like just for fun,
I did
the
that
Maelstrom
one
would do that.
And like I killed all the Maelstrom people, and then they were like, "Oh, you're like a monster. Please get away from us right now."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm sorry that I saved you." And they're like, "You killed all those people. That goes against our beliefs too." And
I was tired.
But yeah, that's a good way to put it. A great Black Mirror episode. Like Brendan is like that, but like light. Delamain, all these cabs that are becoming self-aware,
and then you see potential for some of them. But then, to me, even like the brain dance sequences, I've said this to Jacob, Mike, but I had a lot of issues with the brain dance sequences because it seems to me of another thing with CD Projekt Red where they're like, we've got this great idea. Sometimes you're going to do these detective missions halfway through, and they're like, are they going to be incredibly repetitive and exactly the same every time? Well, yeah, of course they will, and you'll have to do it like 6 times, and that'll be it. But then you watch the anime and you see these depths of like, why weren't some of them me going to the moon? Or like all of a sudden I'm on a pirate ship and I'm doing like a pirate adventure in the middle of a cyberpunk game. Like I know those monks like make you meditate like 4 times, but it's like that's dumb. Did you like the brain dances, dude? I hated the brain dances.
I didn't mind them because I like doing the detective work. It makes me feel immersed in the story of like.
Okay.
And I think The Witcher again did something like this too, where you're doing Witcher detective work, where you're using your Witcher senses to like be like, oh, there's a puddle of blood there or whatever. There's footsteps, and I like that detective work. As it makes me feel like I'm the character, right, and I'm doing the job.
Yeah, like it could get a little tedious here and there, like mechanically, but like it did feel very cyber to like jack into a memory and learn something from it. Again, a little clunky, I hear you, but like I enjoyed the flavor of it, even if the texture wasn't right.
But like clunky is literally CD Projekt Red just doing what Jacob just said of like, well, we had a detective story in the last one, and like you're the star in this other game we're making, like let's have him do a detective story too. Why can't you go to your couch at your apartment, sit down, put on your BD rig, and choose right there of like, here's a sport one. You have to play a weird cyberpunk sport in the middle of this game.
Yeah, what's the sport from Alita? Motorball?
Yes, yeah, rollerball.
Motorball.
Yeah, man. Or you put one on, it's a race. That way you don't have to go see fucking Claire
That's
every
the thing
time.
is that
it's just
like,
The Witcher.
Yeah. Again, this is like a game that had like a ton of potential that didn't quite live up to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say this, based on, the resurgence of popularity in this game, of course they're getting that DLC, and they did announce they're making a Cyberpunk 2. I don't know what it's going to be called exactly, but they're making a sequel to this game. So I can only hope that they're taking a lot of those ideas that they had for the original that they had to cut out to meet a deadline or whatever. And I'm hoping that this next game will be like the greatest game ever.
So something happened with CG Projekt Red recently,
we thought that
Jacob.
the first time.
Yeah.
Where they had a stockholders meeting, and it seemed like to recoup these historic losses that they had of faith of, they announced, what was it, 2 Witcher sequels, Jacob? Is that correct?
A new Witcher trilogy
A
'Cause,
new
like, The
Witcher,
Witcher 1 through 3
trilogy.
Yeah. So they're doing a whole because like Witcher 3 was the end of a trilogy, kind of the end of Geralt's story. I don't know if it's going to follow Ciri as the main character or what.
Okay.
But,
New
'cause
Witcher trilogy, remasters of the old games, right? Or at least the first one or something like
yes,
that.
the first two, which is sorely needed because those are great stories, but the gameplay, because they're so old, very clunky, especially one hard to play in this day. It's like playing Morrowind or something today. It's like they definitely needed a
Yeah.
remaster. So
But
great
and then
news on that.
in all that news, they also go and Cyberpunk 2.
It's pretty
Wow.
ambitious. It's pretty ambitious,
That
but
seems to me pretty desperate, in my opinion, of like, we're going to do everything you ever wanted us to. Please treat us right.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
totally. I can see that. But if it pans out in like 6 years or
It
whatever,
didn't pan out this time. It's only maybe panning out now.
And the only
Yeah.
reason it's panning out now is because the anime got. I mean,
Well,
they were putting in work. They were making the game better, but the anime supercharged the interest. Without the
Never
anime,
gotten us back.
the
The
player
problem
base wouldn't have
is-
spiked. Yeah.
yeah. And the problem is they overpromised, which is so often the problem with these big AAA games where it's like, you're going to be able to do this and this and this.
It
And then when the
just
game comes
works.
out, it's like, no, all that stuff was cut out.
barely
It's
works.
barely working. And I have to say, Colin, I have had a lot of bugs and performance issues still to this day in this playthrough.
We said fashion is one of the reasons we like to play it. Sometimes when I turn it on, I restart it 3 in a row because I get the dark hair glitch or the
Ah.
everybody has, translucent faces. Like, it's
And you're
so
on,
frustrating.
You're a PS5 boy.
I'm a fine
I'm
boy.
on PC. Mike, you're
I'm
on PC.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm getting. Sometimes I'll enter areas and people will just be T-posing still, and they'll take a minute to load in.
I
and
never
so-
saw a single T pose so far. So far,
Wow.
I've been lucky with the glitches, but I don't know how.
I have a
but
lot
yeah.
of audio glitches too, where like I'll hear weird things in the background sound that'll just like a car revving, but it'll just repeat continuously sometimes in certain areas.
I've had a gunfiring sound infinitely going for a couple
Yeah,
minutes.
I've had that
kinda
too.
annoying.
God.
yeah.
But
I had
I mean-
a physics thing where when I would look at stuff, it would be like I was like punching or like my camera movements were physical movements, basically.
wild. Yeah. So it's still a little rough around the edges, but they have resurgence of popularity with the game. It has an all-time high of players. The anime was a hit. Luckily, not doing a sequel because Trigger doesn't do sequels anyway, and we wouldn't need it. But
Yeah,
is
how
there a
could you
world
do a
where
sequel to-
why have they not announced a movie with Keanu Reeves? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Mm.
Shocking.
Why have they not done that? Do the Johnny
Yeah.
Silverhand bombing Arasaka the movie?
I mean, it
Well-
would have to be very adult. It's a very
Keanu
adult
Reeves
property.
Is like the cyberpunk actor because Matrix, that's cyberpunk.
Johnny Mnemonic
Johnny Mnemonic, he loves cyberpunk. So yeah,
and
I think
Cyber
that's
2077.
that's a great
Speaking
idea.
of cyber, though, can as we kind of get over heading towards the Last Thoughts Cafe, the afterlife,
Winding
as
down.
it were, I want to ask about any other cyberpunk stuff that you've gotten into because after the anime, I am cyber. Like I
I want to
have
hear about
you
your
are
journey
you
with,
are you are replacing your skin, is our understanding.
100%,
with
yeah.
robotics.
Well, I know
No.
you're getting into William Gibson, right?
correct. So I finished Neuromancer. I'm currently reading Count Zero, and behind me
Wow.
I have Mona Lisa Overdrive and Burning Chrome.
Oh my
Um,
god.
Listen, I might
I'm
want to
into it.
borrow. I know X-Kite has been reading.
Now another
Borrowing your
friend
books
has
and stuff.
Neuromancer. You're next in line.
Wow.
I have the audiobook for Neuromancer and I've listened to some of it, but I actually wouldn't mind reading it a physical copy, and that might
It
help
needs to be read. I highly
I
recommend.
wouldn't mind downloading it in my
No.
brain.
I would. Yeah, just chip it in, right?
me. Yeah.
No, I love it. And what's crazy is it's 1984. It's like the first book to ever win the Triple Crown of like the Nebula, the Hugo, and the Philip K. Dick Award for like
Wow.
all 3 of the top
Wow.
sci-fi awards. And just thinking it was written in 1984, and he's like, this is pre like understanding what the internet is, and the amount of ideas
Totally.
in this book, and it's just things we take for granted. Like we know what the Matrix is because we grew up with the Matrix. He wrote this in the 80s, and like he's talking
Right.
about jacking in and chips. It's set in like Night City is in the book. Like Mike Pondsmith legitimately is just like, yeah, Neuromancer inspired me to make the game. I took a lot of the
Of course.
ideas. The idea
Totally.
of ice, like hacking ice, is in the book. Like a lot of things in
Totally.
Cyberpunk
That's the-
2077 are
he's the-
directly from the book.
Yeah, that's the godfather of cyberpunk, essentially.
Yeah, still
William
alive
Gibson.
is the nice thing. You know, William
Mhm.
Gibson, a guy you can literally just see tweeting out. People will be like, What do you think about Matrix stealing all your stuff?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, I stole, this from this other literature. Who gives a
Mhm.
shit about anything?" And
Right.
Mike,
Right.
I think you kind of might also find interesting about him. Huge fashion guy, right? In all of his writing, he kind of
Mm.
comes up with the leather or the sort of Blade Runner look. And I know that
Yeah.
a lot of Japanese brands make like a William Gibson signature collection of like cool cyberpunk outfits.
That's super rad. Yeah, the way his prose is incredible. The way these books are written is wild. Like there's so much texture with the characters, the look, the world, right? But then it's written like a movie. Like they'll be in a scene and it'll just suddenly be like another scene. Like it doesn't set up, and then they were in the next room. Just the
Right.
conversation's happening, and you kind of have to catch up to the scene as it's unfolding. It's a wild pace,
Wow.
but I love cyberpunk, the genre. I like reading these books and then seeing what it turned into. So I highly recommend. Normally, when we do a what you watching, what you playing, what you reading, I haven't read shit, but I've been
Right.
reading.
Yeah, and
I've been
watching
reading.
and playing.
And playing,
You've
and I
been
can't
fucking
get enough.
living in this world, Mike.
I'm gonna watch Blade Runner, both of them, probably this month. Just
Hell
at
yeah.
one point.
Dude, they're
do
doing
think
a
it's-
fucking IMAX showing at the fucking what used to be the what you call it theater, the one right in downtown on Hollywood.
Oh! I have the ArcLight. What that used to be?
No, the goddamn where they used to do the Oscars.
Oh, the
man.
Chinese.
The Dobie,
theater?
the Chinese theater. Thank you, Jacob.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's funny about the fashion of cyberpunk because it's all based on what it was in the 80s, and that's just been the defining look of cyberpunk from then on. But I love it.
Yeah.
Blade Runner. I recently rewatched 2051 or whatever that movie's
49.
called. 49. I love that movie. It's a freaking masterpiece. Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah. Joy.
I will
mean,
say,
go
sorry. Cyberpunk. If you want another game rec, I'll say there's another. Basically, what started as a tabletop world called Shadowrun, and that's essentially.
Don't you dare, dude! This is so nerdy.
Get your
I'll tell you
magic out of my
No.
peanut butter.
It's D&D meets Cyberpunk. So you got elves, you
I
got
think you're gonna say
dwarves.
Deus Ex. I was very excited for a minute. I was like, "Oh, Jacob
Deus
doing
Ex,
a
I
fucking
have,
pullback here."
I've dabbled with some Deus Ex games.
Yeah.
Those are fun. But Shadowrun, not the tabletop world. I'm not gonna say get into that, but there is a trio of isometric what's it called? Turn-based
Strategy,
combat. It's like XCOM or those kind of games, or like Final Fantasy, whatever. Tactics. Yeah, where you.
Are you going Cyber Psycho? Are you all right, dude?
Hey, man.
I'm just telling you, man. Shadowrun. There's a trio of these games that they're pretty fun to play. If you like those kind of games, you can net run, you can cyber hack, you can do all those things. You can be a street samurai. That's a class in Shadowrun.
That's a William Gibson original Street Samurai. That's
so
from
Shadowrun,
Neuromancer.
like the cyberpunk tabletop world, was directly inspired by Neuromancer and all that stuff. So,
Very
but
cool.
it was just some nerd. I don't know who made it, but they're like, you know what? Let's take elves and magic and dwarves and shit. Let's take cyberpunk. Let's mash them together. And I love that too. So
Yeah, fairy lives don't matter today, right?
That's right.
yeah.
So,
It's not
yeah.
for everybody, but it is pretty nerdy.
No, it's
but
an
if you
interesting
like
concept.
Yeah,
fantasy and
watch
cyberpunk,
Bright. Mike's right. Watch Bright.
watch
No,
Bright,
no.
the greatest movie ever made.
I'll throw out a cyber game called Snatcher. One day Hideo Kojima said, "Hey, what if I just make Blade Runner?"
That's right.
And he did that for the MSI. It's a mystery game, kind of point and click, and he's like, "Yeah, what if I just made Blade Runner?"
Yeah. What if you could plug in the Nintendo Zapper?
Yeah, it's called Snatcher, not runner.
right.
He's not a runner. Yeah,
That's right. He's a snatcher.
But can you be a half elf street samurai with a katana?
Quiet.
No, but you can be somebody that's definitely legally distinct enough as to not be sued as Decker.
that's right.
You know?
Yeah.
Sure.
Man in
that
trench
sounds
coat.
great.
Yeah, with Future Gun. Well,
And shout
I
out the
s-
Deus Ex games; those are good as well.
yeah. So let's do it. Let's hit the afterlife. Let's grab a David
Yep.
Martinez, a Jackie Wells, or a Johnny Silverhand, and talk our final thoughts on Cyberpunk. Right after this. Wake up,
excuse me.
samurai.
Wait.
Final thoughts.
Wake up, samurais! It's final thoughts here on Normies Like Us, talking Cyberpunk, chipping in. We talked 2077. We talked Edgerunners. We talked all the supplementary material. We love Cyberpunk here on this podcast.
We absolutely do. Like I said, ever since the anime, it has set me off on a revenge mission and now a journey of self-discovery. I'm reading books and I, played the game. I defeated Atom Smasher, took my revenge.
Found my real self.
Finding my real self. What is the self, right? Ooh, what is consciousness? Maybe I'm just becoming more confused, but love the genre. We talked the first episode we did, just generalities. It's like, yeah, I was, I fuck with Blade Runner. It's cool. The Matrix is cool. But like going back to the origin now, kind of reading the book and getting into the game and the anime, and remembering that I first saw Cyberpunk in anime, it's like kind of a full circle thing that Edgerunners kind of sparked off that interest again. So yeah, shout outs to Trigger and Netflix for doing that. And because I was on a revenge mission and would only use Rebecca's gun, I've been 3D printing a full scale model of that gun, which will be done soon.
Amazing.
Wow.
So I just want to hang it on the wall, because sub for Davidito. We will never not ride for David,
Yeah,
that's right.
So you basically, cyber has taken over your whole life.
Basically, yes. I spend all my time on the computer anyway.
Which I think is great. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah.
We're living the cyber life, boys. And I think it's a great thing.
Boys. What's the first, if I was, what augment would you get if you're going to get one? Colin, what mod would you get
but
first?
Again, it's like, I know I keep harping on it, but it's like when we did our cute little last episode where it's like, I'd want like a Wi-Fi thing in my head. And now it's like, what would I want to do in this cyberpunk world after playing this game and watching this series? It's like, I would want to survive. What upgrade would I want? Like whatever keeps me alive in this corporate dystopia.
Yeah.
I none of it. Again, I find it all so horrifying. And my sense of body and self is so tied to being me that I think if I even ended up like something like Johnny Silverhands, where I was just like, like a hologram or whatever,
like
a ROM
construct.
Yeah.
I would just go into cyber psychosis immediately. Like I would just kill whoever like uploaded me in a second.
You know what?
Well, again, I think this. Sorry.
No, that makes the ending of Star Trek Picard make a lot of sense. Why Data's like, just kill me, man.
Yes.
Yeah. Just shut me
again,
off.
I
hate it.
Good. It's into the idea of transhumanism, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is such an interesting concept. And as we get more and more into the future with technology, AI is doing things we've never seen before. 3D printing, like there's so much more, we can go, but the idea in me and
rich people are going to space,
Yeah, rich people are going to space. Rich people are having robot legs. Me and X-Kaida always joke that we're gonna have robot legs when when we're old. But if you think about it, like what makes you human? Is it your physical body? No, not really. It's your mind. It's the thoughts and
what is that?
Identity in your mind, right? Your consciousness. So if you can transplant that consciousness into a mechanical body, I'm all for it. I'm very pro transhumanism.
Wow.
I want to discard this shell as soon as possible.
It's just the meat, right? We don't need the meat.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
And Atom Smasher, you say like, oh, I hate Atom Smasher. I think he's a super cool character.
He's the end game for you.
Yeah, and he's essentially a guy who's replaced his entire body. It's the ship of Theseus, right? If you place every biological part of your body, are you still a person? What are you? I don't know, but I want to find out.
Yeah, and I don't know if he got kind of blown up by Johnny's nuke, so people aren't sure if he's just a construct too, like, or if that's his brain is remaining. Like, I don't know. So it's fascinating. I wouldn't want to go full Borg, but the question is intriguing of transhumanism.
Bro, I'm going full Borg.
Like, even if you don't have a robot body, just throw me into a crazy brain dance where like I'm cool forever.
Yeah. Well, why wouldn't you want to discard these weak, biological bodies?
It's what makes you. It's what I need.
We're just here's what robots.
Here's the only way I would ever do it. So in the context of we had David gets the spine thing, sure. Then by the time he's the leader, I mean, we get Giancarlo Esposito saying, "Do you have do you even have bones still, or is it all metal? Okay, that's the
Mhm.
pretty much
Right.
kind of the final phase. When he's attached to the metal skeleton at the end, and the appendages are completely removed, and we see he is just the torso that is plugged into these like
Yep.
networky things. I would go from human to that directly, no in between. And so imagine how that would like rip me apart.
That would
to,
shock
like,
your
be that
system.
thing. Oh, it would
Yeah.
destroy me.
That'd be your
In the
first one.
20 minutes that I got out of using that metal skeleton, I would try to destroy every company I could to free us all from this dystopia.
Wow.
It's kind of like what
Colin
David did.
Silverhands,
Tried to.
yeah.
Yes.
Colin
Jesus.
That's what
Silverhands.
Johnny Silverhand's all about, like sacrificing himself to blow up Air
You
Soccer,
have
right?
to.
Well, there's some.
But-
The thing is, like, that was also a work. Like, Militech funded that, so Johnny's
Yes.
full of shit.
Right. So
you
he's
know?
full. He's kind
Yes.
of a hypocrite. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
paid by one company to take down another.
And,
talking about
Fucking
the,
Adam Smasher served in the 4th Corporate Wars.
And now he's
just
Arasaka's dog.
It's like insane.
So Adam Smasher was
Yeah.
like Morgan Blackhand's rival as
Yeah.
well, which is another legacy character that gets
It's like a
mentioned
war
kind
hero.
of.
yeah,
But
he's the
what-
greatest solo ever.
And what's so striking about that, the finale of the show, is that you think David is like this super badass now with the cyber skeleton. He goes up against Adam Smasher, and Adam Smasher just freaking dooskies him. And
You
just,
have a Sandevistan too? He's like, yeah, it's basic protocol
way more than that
installation.
kid.
or whatever. It's
Rudimentary
like, Jesus.
implant.
Yeah.
Rudimentary.
he
Best.
just
It's like,
owns this
oh my
kid like it's
God.
nothing.
Yep.
And you're like, damn, Adam Smasher's
Could you
cool.
afford to
And it's just-
distractions?
see-
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's a chase of. It's the same thing of me just like never being on like social media or being part of that world. I have these intense moralistic takes of like I could just like the minute you're like, well, it's kind of your brain, but there's a couple ones and zeros up there. I'm like, no. It's all my brain.
The future
or
old man.
Nothing. No,
You gotta
Doc. I'm
get
not
on
even making
board, or-
phone calls. No, you're
Yeah.
not plugging me in.
I mean,
No,
I would at
that's-
least
you would
get
live-
like robot lungs and a robot heart. Give me that
No,
shit.
totally
No?
Amish.
What I think you need to do is convert to like Buddhism and join those
Yes.
monks and be
I
like,
think that's what
no
I'd have
piece
to.
of machinery will touch
No
my
chrome.
sacred temple,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Maybe just Bluetooth that's permanently in my ears so I can always listen to I Want to Stay at Your House at all
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
I have
I'm all for
not
it.
stopped listening to that song, I swear.
He,
for weeks.
he had the lowest piece of tech we've ever installed, but he's suffering from cyber psychosis.
Just from that. He
All you would
only
need
wanted
is, like,
3.6
iPod.
megabytes of
Yeah.
memory in there.
Yeah,
an
we
iPod in
put
your
in a
neck.
3.6 gigabyte iPod into his neck, and it blew his brain out.
No, 3 megabytes because it's one song, and it couldn't
Yeah, you
handle
just need
it.
the. Remember the iPod Nanos or whatever from
Yes.
the 2000s? That's all you would need.
I used to be Mike. Now I have an iPod shuffled in my neck. Oh my god.
Rudimentary playlist at best. you know?
Incredible.
But I think,
Yeah.
great stuff. Anime set it up for me at least.
Watch it.
Brought
Yeah.
it back, and I think in some ways it does things better than the game. I think Adam Smasher is
Yes.
a lot more realized as a villain in the anime than he is in the game. He only kind of shows
Totally.
up as a boogeyman here or there. That's
Yeah.
why it's a sequel.
Can I ask you guys real quick, what DLC wise, what are you most excited for? Elden Ring or this?
Ooh, this.
Mm.
This.
This.
You're just in
Surprisingly.
this world. You guys are we're just in fucking cyber.
We're cyber. We're cyber boys now.
I'm
yeah.
still at the
Cyber.
point where like I'm not gonna hardcore recommend this game to people for like maybe like till that DLC comes out and a couple more things are smoothed over.
Hmm.
Well, yeah. The bottom line I'll say
Close,
is that
yeah.
there's a lot of jank. There's a lot of
A lot of jank.
issues with it still, but if you like the world, if you like the genre of cyberpunk, it's a game that you can get into despite its flaws, and I think that's
Yes.
the bottom line for me.
Yeah, there's enough
I love that.
good. Yeah, there's enough good in there if you're willing to put up with a little bit of friction.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we were talking fast travel, just popped in my head. Any other game, I always fast travel. Like Red Dead Redemption fast travel, Skyrim, whatever. This is the one where I just want to hang out in the city because it's just such a cool environment. We love the aesthetic, and it gets that right. Although
Yeah.
there's some jank.
I will
so.
say it's like one of my favorite open world games of all time. I put it maybe top 3 with Red Dead Redemption 2 and The
Mhm.
Witcher 3, which I think are both.
Interesting.
Oh, I guess I gotta throw Skyrim in there, but
Breath of
there's
the
a lot
Wild
of-
for me, number one.
Breath of the
Hey,
Wild.
nice. That's good. But Elden Ring, keep forgetting that's open world.
oh, Elden Ring, that's There's a lot of good
Ring,
open
maybe
world
number
games.
2, Red Dead 3.
Shadow of
That's all
Mordor,
mine.
number 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, check it out. Check out William Gibson if you've never read him. It's you might have to reread a couple passages, but I recommend it, especially reflexively, looking at this new game, and then kind of where it came from. It's cool to
Yeah.
it still feels advanced, you know. And there's some ideas like, you know, I won't spoil anything. There's stuff you'll read it and you'll be like, that's blatant ripoff, but he doesn't care. It's contributing to
Hey,
the
we're
greater
going
art form.
to The Matrix. Oh, okay. That's where they
Yeah.
got that.
Yeah, it's literally called The Matrix, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I mean, it's just like Star Wars or anything like where it's like, oh, so much was inspired by that like when you see it in the original source material, you're like, oh, that seems like hackneyed by this point, but it's not because that was the original.
Yeah, I had to stop myself a couple times, be like, oh, is this derivative? I'm like, no, this is the first time that's happened. Like,
Right.
oh, is this a
This is
trope?
what
It's
it's
like, no, this
derived
invented
from.
the trope. Yeah, wait
Yeah,
a minute. So I had to check
exactly.
myself here a couple times, but loving it. Also, the book titles are great. Mona Lisa Overdrive? Are you kidding me?
It's-
That's fucking awesome.
well, that's your
Yeah.
band name.
Yeah, 100%. Oh,
Mike
here's my favorite-
Silverhands and Mona Lisa Overdrive.
Yes, that's right. We're playing. This is our hit song. I really want to stay at your house.
Yeah, I really, really want.
I really, we only play one song. I don't know if you guys got to the side mission, but there is a mission where you get to play with Samurai in a reunion show. You get to get on
Yeah.
stage and jam out, and I was like, give me more of those. I want more.
Hell yeah!
Sam.
You know I
Yeah.
only wear a samurai shirt.
I had a whole Johnny Silverhand cosplay that I dressed up with just for the concert, and then I put David's
Nice.
jacket back on.
Have
after
you
that.
have you guys bumped into the randomly generated extra who I called Johnny Copperhands, the sort of like homeless looking version with like the
No.
really janked up arm, but otherwise he's got like Keanu's hair, no glasses, weird wiry beard.
Oh
That's
man, I gotta keep an eye
hilarious.
out
He's great.
for him. Yeah, take screenshots as soon as if you found him. But yeah, give me more, because in the game, you know, there's a class of character, a rocker boy. Like, I would be a rocker boy in Cyberpunk. You guys know it, you know. So I want more rock and roll.
Hell yeah.
I think my dad would work hard like David's mom to try to make me a Corpo kid, and then he would be killed in some terrible accident. I think I
Yeah.
would die in the streets like 5 days later.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh man, Jacob, how about you though? You probably run Arasaka, you know.
I think Jacob
No,
would
I'm
be a joy
anti-Corpo.
toy. I think Jacob would be
I'd be
turned
a
into
joy toy,
a
yeah.
joy toy within
I'd
like
be a
10
doll.
minutes.
You'd be a doll
Yeah.
at Clouds.
They'd be like, "Oh no, he's awake! Somebody turned him on."
No, but I'd definitely be very into augmenting my body with Chrome. I'd be like putting my brain into a robot body as soon as possible.
You'd be like the hands guy.
Yeah.
Like, look at these
Right.
hands I got. And I'd be like,
Killer.
"Don't touch me with them."
Yeah, look at these
Right.
giant hands. Yeah. But we
Incredible.
love Cyberpunk. And
We do.
I'm
We
glad
have
you
been
guys are
loving
digging it.
yeah.
And I'm glad you guys got into the game through the anime and everything. Glad we're
Mhm.
all cyber.
That's
Hell yeah.
right. Love being cyber. All right. Well, so you out there in cyberspace, let us know if you enjoyed this episode. And if you like playing Cyberpunk or watching Cyberpunk or reading
Hell yeah.
Cyberpunk or any of that, and what augmentation would you get? And hopefully you augment a like and a subscribe as well.
And if you
Please
have any
do.
recommendations of other Cyberpunk media that maybe we didn't mention, shout it out. 'Cause I'm
Bubblegum
interested in
Crisis.
more.
Yes,
80s
I was trying to
series.
remember the name of that show because you had recommended that before me.
Yeah.
Normies, hit us at normies_like_us. Do all those things he just said. And otherwise, enjoy Night City. Check us out on YouTube. But we've been your hosts. This is Cyber Colin.
Mikey Silverhand.
This is the Jacob Smasher.
Oh, God.
You would make an
He's my favorite
interesting
character.
construct.
He's fully chromed. He's losing it.
full Borg.
Going
Normies.
psycho. Bye.
Bye.